Coming up this morning, this beautiful Friday morning on the Dattitude podcast, it's time for our first ever Dat List. As Gabe, Henderson, and I tell you our rankings for all 32 teams' quarterback rooms in the 2000s. Of course, the big question is, where do the Saints rank on each of our lists? But the second biggest question is, what is the over-under on how many times Gabe shakes his head at my picks? Looking forward to that. Should be fun. And of course, we will ask for your input along the way. Also, a very special guest is here live as LSU-Shreveport baseball coach Brad Neffendorf. He tells us how the Pilots navigated a 59-0 season. And since he's the only coach in the history of sports to ever do such a thing, we figured he was the perfect guest to talk about a perfect season. And we'll kick it all off with some news of the day. Big news since we saw you last. So wait no longer and let the head shaking begin.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? This is most definitely a show where if you are audio only, you're going to want to find it on YouTube. I promise. And it's easy. You just search for Dattitude, episode number 383, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Friday, June the 6th, 2024. Okay, you just have to search for Dattitude. You don't have to search for all of that, but Evangeline Securities, I would be willing to bet if you search for Evangeline Securities, then maybe we're going to come up with them. I love that we're associated with Evangeline Securities. They're my favorite peeps. Well, my second favorite peeps. The people that are just outside this door, my favorite peeps, but Gabe's in there. He's a close 2B. UBN somewhere around there. What about me? I'm your host, Jim Derry. Nearly 35 years in the New Orleans sports media scene. I thank you for being a part of our ever-growing Dattitude family. We are going to have, today is fun. Today's about fun, okay? After today, we only have 4, count them 4 shows until vacation time. And after vacation time, we're getting into NFL previews and training camp. So that's what we got left. Mini camp starts next week, but we're going to have fun. So no show on Monday, just FYI. We are taking Monday off. We're going to have a long weekend. I'm doing some prep for some things too. So I'm not actually taking the day off. I'm going to be working, but there is going to be no show on Monday. We'll be back on Wednesday after today. So Wednesday, Friday, and then Monday, Wednesday, and then it's vacay. I think I'm going to Houston to see the Cubs play at some point during my vacation. The funny thing is I think Gabe's going to be gone when I'm there. So I'll be in Houston. Gabe won't be in Houston. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, what is on the show today? Well, you can see it on your screen if you're watching, by the way. It was so crazy this morning. So crazy. I fell asleep last night. I didn't do nearly as much prep time as I wanted to get the slides ready for the show today. And I fell asleep, and so I had to do everything this morning. I got up early, but I had to make my own coffee. Now I'm drinking water out of a Cubs cup. That's where we are today. You can be a part of the show by typing in your comment on YouTube. I see a few of you have done so. We'll get to them in just a minute. Whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, doesn't matter. You can type in your comment. But if you are watching on Facebook, or if you're not subscribed to the Dattitude, you watch it on YouTube, but you're not subscribed to the Dattitude YouTube page, what you been waiting for? We would love for you to be a part of the family. We would love for you to give us a like, and we'd love you to click the little bell to receive notifications when we go in the air live, which our normal regular schedule is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. However, we got some weird goings on in the off season, so there you go. You click the little bell, you always know when we go on the air. Let's do a couple comments early here this morning. We're gonna come back to the news of the morning and tell you what's on today's show. Good morning, Charles. Where you at, Dattitude family? Sunny, wonderful day. Sunny. It's hot, man. Aaron Rodgers found a sucker. We're going to get to Aaron Rodgers in just a minute. UBN wants the over on the head shakes. Apparently, Gabe has put it on 19.5. That's a lot. I'm going to take the under on that because I actually think, see, there it is. Consecutive shakes count as one. So the over under 19.5 unique shake sequences, I think that's a little high. Because, now, see, I have an advantage because I typed everything in, so I know what mine are and I know what Gabe's are. But Gabe doesn't know what mine are. And they're actually I was surprised at how close, when you do lists like this, 32 teams, I was surprised at how close they actually are. Now, there are a couple that are way off. There's a couple that are way off, and that'll definitely be. I'm like feeling it already. That'll be fun. Chad Gage, hello, senor. Wait, it's not. It's Seis de Juno. I don't know. How do you say June in Spanish? I have no idea. Whatever. It ain't Cinco de Mayo. UBN, what's the over-under? How many times I complain about the heat on Sunday at the box? UBN and I are going to the box on Sunday, and that's at least 19.5. That's minimum 19.5. Ryan Cavett, I'm crazy. The humidity is on like a hot, wet winter coat. What do you have to remind me for? I'm in my nice, cool studio. I don't even want to think about what's outside. Another Daryl, you're reminding me how warm it is. Very warm day. Thanks for the wonderful show. You can all take part. Of course you can all take part. That's what this show's about. Gary, good morning. Hello. Cannon McGee, what's up? Sorry you've been missing episodes. You've been busy with work, but you're here. Hey, man, as long as you're here, it's all that matters. All right, today's show, we're going to get back to comments in a little bit. We told you, Gabe and I, our first ever Dat List. We're going to have fun with it. The NFL quarterback. Now, again, we talked about this the other day. You can all be a part of this. You can type in your comments as we're going to go along. It's going to start probably about 11:35, 11:40. Coach Neffendorf is coming on 11:20 in 12 minutes. They're going to talk for about 15 minutes. He's going to talk about 59-0 NAIA World Series champions. Look, that is absolutely worth time in my show. Now, he was here a few weeks ago when he was 51-0, but he's coming on at 11:20, talk about 59-0. That is just, that's impossible. 59-0, that's absurd. To think about all the things you have to go. So anyway, we're gonna talk about that. UBN says my cup is better than a racetrack cup. No, I don't know. The Cubs are doing well though. Won again last night. I think it was 5-0. Earl's picks. He's here. He said it's 70 in Chicago. Man, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. So that's our list, and we're going to talk a little bit about minicamp. Before we get to all that, before we get to the rest of the show, let me tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they are a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. If that's you or someone you know, they don't need a list. Their list is one. They care about you. You're number one on their list. They don't have 1 through 30. They got one. They don't have a Dat list. They're a company that can help you decide, told you. Is it the right time to sell? That's the number one question. If it's you or someone you know, it's time to reach out to our friends at Evangeline, founding and managing partners Nick Braden and Ron Hemelt. They will start by scheduling a complimentary valuation from their offices on Poydras Street. You know where that is, that big building with the white roof. It's kind of weirdly shaped. Born back in 1975. Yeah, that Poydras Street. They also have an office in Lafayette. From there, you will be well informed to begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. What happens after that? Well, you're going to have to wait till after Coach Neffendorf is here because we're going to fill you in more just before Gabe comes on. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. What else we got to talk about today? How about it's not really breaking news. Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers. Look, I've said this before. I love me some Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is maybe one of the most underrated coaches in my lifetime. That's how much I love Mike Tomlin. But dude, what are you thinking? Why do you want to create a circus? I mean, I guess you want to create a circus because the best quarterback you have right now is what, Mason Rudolph? I understand, but why did you leave yourself in that predicament? I mean, at least the Saints are rebuilding. Okay, so they have an excuse. I mean, I guess not a great one. They did it. That's a whole different story. But why would you leave yourself in that position if you're Mike Tomlin? I think the Steelers are a cluster F this year. I'm not touching the I don't think I'm going to touch them either way because every time I bet against Mike Tomlin, I lose. But I'm not betting on them either. I'll tell you that right now. So they're going to be fun. Look, when we come back from vacation, it's going to be a lot of NFL preview stuff. I'm going to do them a little different this year. I may do them as shorts by myself. Maybe I'll have Gabe. Larry has too much going on. Larry did them with me last year. Maybe I'll have someone else. I haven't 100% decided, but we are going to do an NFL preview on each team. I just haven't figured out exactly how we're going to do it. When we get to the Steelers, it's going to be a mess. Be a mess. Yeah. Steelers week of desperation, says Earl. Brian says, are we doing the quarterback rooms from 2000 all the way up to 2024? Yes, we are. The way we did it is we took we each have our own top 3 quarterbacks. And really, there's not a whole lot of debate. I mean, most of our top 3s are the same. We'll tell you who our top 3 quarterbacks were for each as we go along. We're going to have fun with it. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on 32 through 13 as a heads up. We're going to show you who they are. We're going to tell you who they are, and you can have your input as we go along. But we're going to pretty much run through 32 through 13. Then we're going to spend a lot of time on our top 12. Apathy, you know what? I agree with you. This will be Mike Tomlin's last year in Pittsburgh. It's going to bomb hard. I don't necessarily think it's going to be like it's hard. And Gabe says 9-8 season incoming. I think this. I think that 9-8 is certainly a possibility, but I think it's going to be such a circus. I think he knows. Look, a coach can only stay. Mike Tomlin definitely has 20 more years of coaching in him if he wants to. I just don't think it's going to be in Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be someone else. Lewis says Mike Tomlin, as of lately, represents mediocrity. That's because what he has to deal with. I mean, what do the Steelers represent? Okay, we've talked about this 1,000 times. The Steelers represent what happens when you don't have a good quarterback. Look at Big Ben. When they had Big Ben, they were always in the running. Okay, they weren't always great, but they were always in the running. You lose a quarterback, you don't have a star quarterback, you're mediocre at best. It is what it is. It goes for just about every team. Think of, especially now. I mean, teams are, the way offenses are drawn up now as opposed to maybe even 15, 20, 30 years ago. I mean, don't get me wrong. You always had to have a good quarterback, in my opinion, to win. There are certainly, you can go out and find teams that don't necessarily conform to that. Okay. You got your Trent Dilfers. That defense was so ridiculous for the Ravens. That's why they won. I mean, you can look at, Brad Johnson. You can go through a couple of them. And Gabe says, Mike Tomlin's success has it held the franchise back? I don't know. Maybe because they don't want to move on from Mike Tomlin, but I think he's going to move on his own. And then he also says, like Daboll with Daniel Jones. He punched way above the team's weight, but that maybe one season's worth. I don't know. That's going to be something to worth watching as we go along. We'll be talking about that story, and I don't see how it works. Okay. But I don't see how Aaron Rodgers works anywhere. And all this, I'm not going to New Orleans. Well, thank God you're going to New Orleans. I mean, I'm 100% serious when I would rather see, again, I'm not picking on Spencer Rattler when I say this. I would 100% rather see Spencer Rattler start 17 games this year for the New Orleans Saints than bring that clown in here and have yoga meetings on Wednesday. Saints are 2-8, but We're feeling good about ourselves. Get out of here. I can't deal with that. Wouldn't be able to deal with that crap. Couple other things. Again, Coach Brad Neffendorf coming on in about 5 minutes. Waiting for him to show up in the green room, by the way. If you missed it earlier. I was too busy for the racetrack. Going with the Cubs Cup today. Made my own coffee. It wasn't bad either. Wasn't bad. How about the NBA? Yeah, Susie Q. Lino. We don't want him. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Chad Gage, not only would I rather have the Billy Joes again over Rodgers, I'd rather have the Billy Joes like today. What are they, like 50? Coach Neffendorf is sending me a text. Hold on, live TV here as I respond to a text. There you go. He says he needs an extra few minutes. The offices and the fire alarm going off. The old fire alarm. Remember the fire alarm? I don't feel like going to class. Somebody pull the fire alarm. Coach Neffendorf is using the fire alarm. So he'll be on a little bit later than usual. You would rather have Earl said he would rather have me as coordinator. Nah, I wouldn't go that far. I'm not going that far. Apathy says Mike Tomlin walks away, Todd Bowles gets fired, and he takes the Bucs job. Look, I'm going to say this. When it comes to Todd Bowles, okay, now we're going, this is how far off on a tangent we're going. Todd Bowles. I did not expect to talk about Todd Bowles today. I've been dissing on Todd Bowles for a couple of years now. No more. The dude is doing a good job. I don't care. Look, I'm not convinced Baker Mayfield has been reborn. So I got to give Mike Tomlin credit. I mean, Todd Bowles credit. How can you not? How can you not give Todd Bowles credit? I mean, they've won 4 straight division championships, and look, I don't care what division you're in. You got, and I don't care what receivers you got. I mean, their defense is good, but it's not great. Their receivers are great. Their running game kind of stinks. It's okay. Nothing special. You're shaking your head. Mark that down. Mark that. That's one shake of the head already. That counts. Mark it down. Where did they rank last year in rushing? Bucky Irving is awesome. I wouldn't call him awesome. Hold on. Live TV. Tampa Bay Buccaneers Pro Football Reference. All right. See, we're doing this on the fly. I know y'all probably cringe when I do this on live TV. All right. Rushing offense. Gabe. Give a nod to Gabe. They were 4th in the NFL last year. They were 14th in scoring, rushing scoring, but they were 4th in the NFL in yards gained per game. Hey, man, it's hard to get past that. I mean, Chad says, dude, seriously been solid as a head. He has been. So look, kudos to Todd Bowles. What do you think the Bucs going to do this year? Probably do better than the Steelers. Who's gonna have more wins this year? Will it be the Bucs or will it be the Steelers? Piss off, UBN. Taking up for Gabe. If you can't hear the show, he's gonna get him, Gabe. Piss off. The dude gets one right every now and then. It's not always right. I mean, not always wrong. I'm just trying to piss me off on a Friday. Again, if you're just joining us, Coach Brad Neffendorf coming up in a little bit. He is a little bit late. He's got fire alarm. Anyway, I was getting to the NBA Finals. How about the Indiana Pacers and all those teams in the East are like going, told you so, OKC. I'm just glad. Look, I was kind of ticked at myself last night. As I had the game on, I was like, damn it. I meant to bet OKC in a sweep. I don't know what it's like. I don't know. Plus, I'm not betting minus 700. Okay. I forget what the sweep number was. But anyway, I wanted to bet OKC in a sweep. I was like, there's no way the Pacers are going to beat, man. They just do what they do. It's crazy. I don't know that I've seen a team like this be able to just come back continually. So are they going to You steal one in OKC. Man, everybody's going to be betting on. Everybody and their grandma going to be betting on the Thunder in game 2. The spread could be 20, and they're still going to be. They're going to be people taking mortgage payments and betting on the money line to try to win $100 for game 2. Thunder minus 10.5. Gabe says they were plus 280 to sweep. They're going to people take. I don't look. So they're minus 330 to win the series. I'm guessing, what are they, like minus 350 to win? No, it's got to be more than that. It's got to be like minus 500 to win game 2. Whatever it is. Would you I'm going to make up a number. Say your mortgage payment is $1,500 a month. I mean, most of you, it's probably more than that. I don't know. Whatever. Would you take that 50? And I'm not advocating this at all because I absolutely would not do this. So it's minus 520. Let's just say minus 500. Would you bet $1,500 your mortgage payment to win 300? You're an idiot if you do that, by the way. Especially if that's your mortgage payment. Don't ever do that. Okay. I've seen so many people make the dumbest bets like that. That's just a dumb bet. David +1 # is do I change my opinion on the finals? I was bored last week, but I was interested now. No. The only reason why I turned it on is because I was like sitting there doing my list, working on my list. What else am I going to put on? The Royals and Cardinals game 2 of their doubleheader? No. Put the NBA game on. There's nothing else to put on. So no, I'm not really interested, but I do think it's interesting that the Pacers won. I think how could you not think the finish of the game was interesting? But I can't wait to see what the ratings are. I guarantee you there are probably not a whole bunch of people watching it in the grand scheme of things. Diehards are. One Smoke's not watching it. Let's say this is not watching the finals because there's no superstar players. They don't have to be. And there are superstar players. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to me is one of the budding stars in this game. It's one of the budding stars in the game. I don't have a slide for you, Gabe. Let me figure out how I'm going to. He wants to come on, and you're really firing him up now. I'll tell you what. I do have this slide, so I'll bring him on for a second. You're going to have to use the Saints slide.
That's fine.
Whatever. Go ahead. Go ahead.
One Smoke, that's crazy. That's if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, if the Thunder win the finals, which are still minus 330 to do, and he wins finals MVP, which after a near 40 clip last night, he's probably favored to, well, he is favored to do, but he probably will do. He will become the 4th player ever to win MVP, scoring title, finals MVP, and the finals in the same season, joining Kareem, Michael Jordan, and Shaq. So to say that there's no superstars in this series is absolutely insane.
You fired him up, One Smoke. Fired him up.
And then Charles saying, I don't have a problem if you want to say Indy's going to win the series. I don't think they will. But to say the Thunder will live and die by the 3 is just ignorant. The Thunder are not a 3-point shooting team.
It's not who they are. Ignorant. That's a little strong.
No. It's not strong. Ignorant is a lack of knowledge on a certain subject.
Oh, my young friend, young grasshopper.
Charles, he won the scoring title, and they won 68 regular season games.
Well, David says, come on, it's not a bad series. I'm not saying it's a bad series. I'm just saying that I'm not necessarily interested in it. I'm not going out of my way to watch it. If, like I say, if there's nothing else on and I'm sitting there, I will turn it on. I'm not boycotting it. I'm not watching it on purpose. But at the same time, it's not something that I'm fired up. Although, again, I do love me some SGA. I mean, it's hard not to. And it's hard not to say what Halliburton's going to do in the final minute. So just speaking on last night, Charles, they do not shoot a lot of threes. Go look up the 3-point stats. They're not a 3-point shooting team. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, I want to talk about game 2 real quick. Game 2.
Yeah, I think the Thunder are going to win comfortably.
See, but I think everybody's going to thinks that. And
no. So here's the reason that the Pacers were allowed to stay in and eventually win game 1. Rick Carlisle took Mark Daigneault to school.
Yeah.
Mark Daigneault, for whatever reason. So the 2 meetings that they had in the regular season, Chet Holmgren did not play.
Yeah.
So Case and Wallace one of the Thunder's young bench players, started in his place. So the Thunder went with a small lineup with Isaiah Hartenstein at the 5. He benched Isaiah Hartenstein in this game to start Cason Wallace because Cason Wallace played well against them in the regular season, thus giving up the size advantage. And Indiana is the 28th best rebounding team in the league. They cannot rebound to save their lives. Do you know what the rebound differential was last night?
Oh, it had to be
Indiana plus 17.
How does a team win when they commit 20 turnovers in the first half?
They were plus 17 in rebounds, Jim, and that's because the Thunder surrendered that size. And if you go look at the final possession that OKC had, Charles, that is the most ignorant statement.
Oh, come on, stop with the ignorant.
No.
Stop. Yeah, that's a little strong.
Does not
that's a little
know what
strong.
he's talking about.
I hear you, but that's a little
not.
strong. That's
I'm
a little
sorry.
strong.
Oklahoma City is an all-time defense. This is the best defense that we've seen in over 20 years. Every metric supports that.
Yeah,
so to say they're
that's a
not
little
as good on
strong.
defense is just ignorant. And people.
Yeah, actually, to go to your point, if you look up the defensive rankings in the playoffs, this is all
playoffs
15
regular season.
teams.
Go look at it. And people.
It is. I'll tell you what it is right now. I have it up. Indiana's number 1 and OKC is number 2. If you go to the regular season, Oklahoma City is number 1 and the Pacers are number 6. So, I mean, to go to
the Oklahoma City defense is one of the best that we've ever seen.
Yeah,
statistically.
Yeah.
No,
it's pretty good.
Charles, look up the stats. Statistically, one of the best. This is the best defense that we have seen since the early 2000s Pistons with Ben.
That's why would it be better to bet the under? I think this is going to be like a.
I don't hate.
I think game 2
I wouldn't bet the Thunder a 10.5 point favorite.
You can't bet that.
I think they're going to win. Yeah, I think they're going to win comfortably. But so here's the thing: if you go back and look at that final possession, the reason, and I said this before they inbounded the ball with Caruso, the tallest guy on the court for the Thunder was Jalen Williams, who's 6'8". Yeah. And if you look at the two guys in the paint going for the rebound, it's Lou Dort and Cason Wallace.
Yeah.
Like a 6'6" forward for Indiana came up with that rebound. If the Thunder get that rebound, they win the game.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you.
Coaching malpractice to give up that size advantage. And the Thunder just shot poorly from the field. They were, I believe, 40% from the field. It just wasn't a good night, and Carlisle took Degnan off the school, and I expect them to change.
All right, there's one more thing that I want to talk about before Coach Neffendorf comes on. He texted me; he'll be on in 2 minutes. So I want to get back to that. And
stop it.
I'll have you back on in about, let's see, it's 11:28. About 11:45, we'll be starting our list. So I'll see you in just a few minutes.
Good. All righty.
All right. Okay, y'all fired Gabe up. We fired Gabe up. I mean, he's going to be stewing for the next 15 minutes before he gets to the list. Real quick, before Coach Neffendorf, he's coming on. There he goes. He's got his camera on. He's in the green room. We'll get to him in just about less than a minute. I just wanted to bring up real quick, talking about sports news. We talked about Aaron Rodgers. We talked about the NBA Finals. How about, did y'all see what the Atlanta Braves did? I'm starting to feel bad for him. But did y'all see what the Atlanta Braves did yesterday? If you didn't, go see it. The Diamondbacks were trailing 10-4, going in to the bottom of the 9th inning. It's over, right? I mean, in baseball, it's over. I mean, we'll have a coach that'll tell you it's not over coming on in just a minute because he was down several. Not in the ninth. He wasn't down 6 runs in the 9th. The Diamondbacks up 6. I'm getting verklempt just talking about it. They blew it. First time ever the Diamondbacks have clawed back from 6 runs in the 9th inning. And it was the first time, I don't know the exact number for the Braves. I think it was the first time they said in like 740 games. I mean, we're probably talking about you going back to the Milwaukee Braves, I'm guessing. First time in 740 some odd games that the Braves lost after leading by 6 runs going into the 9th inning. It's hard to lose. It's hard to lose like that. I mean, it really is. So, and I gotta say, it's been a rough season for the Atlanta Braves, and their rough season continues. You know who didn't have a rough season? You know who had the season not only of his life, it's the season, maybe one of the greatest season in sports history. Coach Brad Neffendorf of LSU-Shreveport is here with us again here on the Dattitude podcast. Glad to have you back on, Coach. And it's only been a few weeks. Last time we talked to you, you were 51-0. But then you ran through the gauntlet of the regionals and the NAIA World Series, and you finished off the first season, the best season in the history of college baseball, 59-0. And I just don't know how any coach, I mean, when someone talks about perfection, they're going to have to call you no matter what it is, because you're the only coach that's ever done this.
Yeah, well, first off, I appreciate you guys having me back on, and I'm glad I shut my door, because my assistant coach, about 20 feet from me, his brother is Spencer Schwellenbach, who's the number 2 on the Braves.
Yes, he is.
And he walked into me yesterday, I think, during that game, and was telling me about the score. And normally it's when his brother's pitching. There's not been a lot of run support for him, and
he's on my fantasy team, by the way.
I can't wait to tell him. He'll want to have an interview with you and be out here so he can talk about that. So, no, I mean, look, and I appreciate you guys having me back on, and it's taken some time to get on here. And obviously, I'm going to tell you, as organized as I am, I've been brutal with the organization of all these Zooms.
You're not used to this, Coach. It's what it is.
Well, I mean, you get used to some of it, but obviously not the magnitude of what it is. But that's what comes with what these guys have done at such an incredible level this year. Yes, since the last time that we talked, we've been able to maintain. And honestly, the most impressive piece about it is even with that last game, the first half of it, we just continued to keep getting better throughout the year. And obviously that's the goal. You got to imagine, and at the end of the year, everybody has done something in context of getting better or playing something at the level in which they're supposed to be at the right time to get themselves to Lewiston. So, look, the more I sit back and look at it and think about it, I had one of my players yesterday he's like, man, the more I look at it, he goes, gosh, we were really, really, really good. And I was like, yeah, we were. Like,
of course.
But it's hard to sit back. Look, I always knew we were going to be good, but when you sit back and look at your own team, and I think this is part of being, who I am, you're always looking to get better. So you always, and it's a positive and a negative. You're looking at the things that you need to continue to keep working on each day and continue to keep getting better with executing. But I don't know if you quite give your team enough credit throughout the year, each and every game, because I think we get caught up in looking at the things that maybe by ourselves, just the things that we think aren't going right.
Right.
And now that I've had a chance to not write a lineup or do this or do that, where I'm looking at, all the things that we need to put us in position. Yeah, it's truly, we were good. We were really good.
But Coach, it's not just good. I mean, the thing that gets me, okay, and we just finished talking about, we only spent a minute or two on it, and I'm not trying to harp on this, but the Braves blowing a 6-run lead in the 9th inning. That just doesn't happen. It'd been 740 something games since they had done such a thing. To go, that's what I don't. People who don't maybe follow baseball on a regular basis, because baseball has always been my favorite sport. I mean, it's just. Look, I know this is a football town. It's a football state. It is what it is. But baseball is just, to me, the most intriguing sport. It's the thinking man sport. It is every day. You have to be in the grind. You're constantly doing. I wasn't a great baseball player, but I love to play it anyway. But to be able to go through a season with 59 wins, to see with the Braves, what happened to the Braves, something that just doesn't happen. Anything can happen in a season. To be able to go without a loss in that many games is obscene, and it's, frankly, I would have said impossible before I saw you guys do it.
I would have said the same thing. I mean, look, the one thing that this team, obviously, I think I told you before, they played loose all the time. They played poised. Their level of engagement and execution in practice was something I've never seen. And I'm not going to say that's even because we kept winning. Maybe it is because they didn't talk about it. But the thing that they did so well, when you look at the practice piece, they showed up and they went after it the right way every day. There was truly very few reminders in practice. And they love doing it together, which is, if you can get a team that has a high level of talent to show up and go at it every day the way that they did, you've got a chance. And then when you flip to the game piece, when we wanted to, and there was games where we didn't, and we still played well, those were the reminder days, when we just didn't look. It's not that we didn't look engaged. We had a switch that these guys, and I'll put it in terms of it's almost like they got blood in their eyes. It was laser focus. And when they wanted to, which they obviously, for every part of, at some point in 59 games, they did. I look at that last game of the year. A couple innings in, I look at my assistant. I go, "Is this really when it's going to be?" I said, "The chances." I said, "Look at how this is shaping up." I said, "We are 59 games in a national title, a team that we wiped the floor with a couple of days ago. We haven't got one thing to go our way. Every ball in play for them, every ball in play for us is allowed." And then I looked to my left. I'm like, "What? There ain't nothing to worry about.
Who cares?"
We've trusted them up until this point, and I just kind of let sat back and prevented myself from getting in the way, and the coaches. And all we needed was one good inning, even if we didn't score, just some things that start feeling a little bit different, and it took off.
Chad Gage says, "Congrats, coach. Made us all proud." Charles Mangus, one of our regulars, says, "Congrats, coach." At what point during the season, you're going through the grind, you're talking about this is the first time in quite a few months that you haven't had to fill out a lineup, and you haven't had to think about, trying to get your pitching to line up a certain way or whatever, or what team you're going to face or whatever. At what point did it hit you? Holy crap, we are undefeated. I mean, at some point that's got to hit you. I mean, I know you think about the grind. You don't necessarily think about your record or whatever it is. You won 10 in a row. You won 13 in a row. But what point did you say, there's a 0 on the other end of that dash?
When we got about 20-0, you kind of started realizing it. And look, I'll tell you, every year we've had a really good team, but each and every year, I think the last 3 years, we have had some sort of a win streak, 23, 24, 25 games that would break a win streak record here at the school. And then something would happen. You look at us in 2022, we were a game away from the national title. We started off 34-2. We finished 47-3 in the regular season. And those 3 games that we lost were by a run. They're games that we shouldn't have lost. We had a really long win streak that year, but then we go with a guy that sets the program record for strikeouts. He led the country strikeouts. He's pitching AA baseball right now. Probably had to arguably the best out pitch that I've ever coached. And we're over at Jarvis Christian, who shouldn't ever be in a game with us, but it's baseball. And we lose 4-3 in a game that we were up 3-1, and we just didn't play when they beat us, and then we went on a little streak. As we got past 20, I'm like, all right, maybe we're going to push the limits earlier this year without a loss. We'll get to a win streak again and something. Then we got to 30 games, and we're not talking about it as a program with these kids, maybe with the coaches and whatnot, but we're focusing on what we can do to keep getting better. And then all of a sudden we get to 38, we set a record. We get to 41, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Where it really hit me the most, and you can understand why, we're at Jarvis Christian again to end the year. When that last pitch was thrown to finish off the series and sweep them, it took about 5 minutes, it felt like, for that ball to get out of the hand and get to home. And I just I put my head down and I go, did we really just finish the regular season without a loss? That's probably where it hit me the most, because it was so special to watch a group. You did not lose a game in the regular season. We're getting better. But then now reality kicks in. You're going to the postseason in a conference tournament that we have struggled in, where we have always been an automatic bid into a regional always. We know we're hosting as a 1 seed. These teams don't have anything to worry about with us. They could care less about us more. They're fighting for more time into a regional. And here we go, better again. I don't know, man. There's so many things that I could go. It's impossible to answer.
I'm going to compare it to, like, if you were this great free throw shooter, okay? And I don't know what the record is for consecutive free throws made or whatever, but you knew what it was, and you got up there and you had made, let's say the record was 58, okay? And you got up there and you're shooting, you're at 57 straight, and you go up there to shoot a free throw in your head. Just the whole point of in your head. I mean, you got to get out of your own head. Yeah. To be perfect, to go that long with me. It's the same. It's on a much grander scale, pitching a perfect game. I've never even kind of pitched close to a perfect game. But if you were to think about pitching a perfect game, and it's only been done, 20-something times in the history of Major League Baseball. But to have a perfect season, you're thinking about that every day, at least for some point, for like a month and a half.
And, here's the thing about, unless they fooled us, but it obviously worked out. We made it a major focus of our program. And I think what helped, honestly, is we've had so many guys that have returned from a team that was really good the last 2 prior years, a lot of 3-year guys where there was a sour taste in their mouth losing on your home field by 1. And we knew with having everybody back and the type of players that we were able to hit on and be able to get in here to finish this roster. Hey man, we're good. We got to get our own way. We got to focus on specific, and we're not letting anybody get in the middle of this thing. And the one term that I've told everybody that we used the entire year, and maybe these guys did stick to it, but it's the one thing that I can say that we talked about all the time. It's a 2-part deal. That team in the other dugout, who it is, they can't beat you, but you can be beat. And we have to guard against the unknown. And the unknown is what kept us in check each and every day about how we went into practice and how our focus maintained at the level that we need. Because the unknown is, look at that last game. Southeastern played incredible the first 4 innings.
Yep.
Everything, and that's the unknown. We didn't know going in there that with all the barrels they had against us, they were then going to be able to get a couple terrible swings that bounced a couple feet and beat out, the runner beat out our third baseman coming in, and then we throw a ball. And, those are the unknowns that you don't know about. And you brought up the game of baseball it's one pitch can make or break anything that goes on in that game. And our guys did such an unbelievable job of letting that unknown keep them focused and on a path in practice each and every day in our routine of what we did to keep us going throughout the year and nothing get in the way of us getting better. And I have to applaud them, because it is so hard at this age to manage distractions, manage the noise, manage all the things that can happen. I mean, you got to look at some things, man. Do you know how many teams made that World Series that had major injuries that came in? We didn't. We had one of our catchers, and it could have hurt us, but luckily our main guy was able to put. We had so many things go our way this year with the talent that we had that put us in position to be able to do what we did.
You sure did. Coach Brad Neffendorf of LSU-Shreveport here with us on the Dattitude podcast on this Friday morning, presented by Evangeline Securities. And by the way, Coach was talking about Southeastern of Florida, whom they played in the NAIA championship game. Coach, going into that last game, I want to ask you this quite a hypothetical. And by the way, our regular, and he's also a guest on the show quite a bit, Uncle Big Nick Moss. Gratz, he said when he texted me at 39-0, he was impressed, and then you reeled off 20 more, which is crazy. Brian Cavan, another regular here, member of the Dattitude family. Standing ovation for you and the entire team. Y'all deserve a trip to the White House. Have you even thought about that? That's got to be in theory, it's a possibility, right?
We're going, right?
No, I did not know.
Yeah, no, we are. So the celebration we had the other day, which was amazing. It felt like the whole entire town was there. I mean, it was a really good crowd, and the way they did everything. I mean, took about way longer than what it was supposed to be. It was unbelievable. The Speaker of the White House got on the phone with the mayor.
No way.
Maybe it wasn't the mayor, it was another major. And he was on the phone. They put the speakerphone up, and he talked for a while, and then he, of course, at the end. And by the way, I have talked to President Trump, and he has invited you to the House. So yeah, we're supposed.
No way. That is fantastic.
Yeah, we're supposed to be going here, which obviously there's a lot behind the scenes that we'll never know about how it goes down. It's supposed to happen in the next few weeks. How many people get to go, and how they're working on everything to get us there right now. So each day I've been hearing a little bit more, but I don't have any concrete details yet.
Well, we'll be watching on social media to see when that happens, and we'll definitely show a piece of it here. Coach, I want to ask you too, a hypothetical here. Let's just say, going into that game against Southeastern, let's just say you lost that one, but then you won the championship and you finished 59-1. Would it have taken any of the luster off of it? I mean, did you think about the possibility? I mean,
look, I think it's easy to say. When we went 58-0 and we broke the national record, obviously that's a big deal. I think it would be even more impressive, if you ask me, if we were to lose a game, and with what you've done on the year, now there's going to be teams and players and coaches that are back. Here we go. Like, is this the time it's going to go against us? I mean, the record that we broke, you look at Howard Junior College back in 2009. I think this is unbelievably impressive. They start out 57-0. They're in the regional final game. Have to be beat twice. They get thumped, I think, 8-2 in game one. Then they come back. It was against Temple College. They drill them. They go to the World Series, and they don't lose a game. To me, going 63-1 when you lost a game in that form, that's tough. It wouldn't have took anything away from it. I mean, obviously, there's two pieces. It's the national title is unbelievable. All right, that's the number one goal. Your goal is never to go undefeated. If somebody has that as a goal, I think they're crazy. Now, we just made the impossible possible. But no, I honestly, I think it would have been an even more incredible story that a team could go lose one and then come back and go win another one to win it after what they've done. But sure, it would have took it away with some people. I mean, I don't think we'd get the same amount of attention. No chance.
At any point, did you think maybe? And I'm not talking about, of course, not in the regionals or the NAIA World Series in Lewiston, but at any point towards the end of the regular season, you think maybe it's better if we do lose one?
No. I will tell you, at some point as a coach, you're sitting back and you always feel, hey, where we're really going to learn is those losses. But for me, we had games this year. There's 4 of them that we had to come back and win, or we won by one, a run, or somebody, put us in a position where they were executing better, and we came back and walked them off and won. Those games, like we told our guys all year long, you don't need a lot. If you can't learn from those are your reminders. I said
Right.
the same reminders if you lose a game, because those put us in position to lose, and we found a way to come back. I'll give you an example. Brock Berlin, probably the most historic quarterback in the state. I've gotten to know him.
There's no question.
I just talked to his wife at the gym. I know him very well. Huge supporter of us. We were talking at the gym right before the regionals, I think, or maybe it's a conference tournament, into the regular season. I was like, Brock, you know what I'm getting sick of? He's like, what? Every coach I know telling me, hey, you just got a loss, get a loss out of the way. And he goes, and he, dude, you want to talk about the most non-arrogant, talk about himself person ever. He goes, let me tell you something, Neff. He goes, ask me how many games I lost in my high school career. Ask me how many I lost. I go, how many did you lose? 0. Don't listen to that. Go win them all. You know what? It kind of put me at ease. I'm like, you know what, man? Like, sure. And that's high school football over what, a 4-year career or something?
Yep. You talk about Brock Berlin. Actually, I'll just tell you real quick. Company I work for on the side doing play-by-play during COVID, which, by the way, that's when you came in to LSU-Shreveport.
Yeah.
So, but during COVID, we didn't have games to broadcast. So we put together a list and we let fans vote on. We had like these brackets on who the best position players in high school ball, and quarterback. Brock Berlin was the number 1 quarterback in the state, and I think well deserved it. When you talk about, he threw for like 11,000 yards or something in high school.
Let me tell you something. He comes out here and he's got a kid named Briggs that guy's gonna play whatever sport he wants, baseball, football. He's unbelievable.
Is he going to Evangel?
He is. So
right.
They got Pop Houston there now, and it'll probably be Briggs, and he'll be better than his dad. But he brings him out here all the time, and watching Brock throw a football still. I mean, it's we were gonna have him throw out the first pitch. We had Todd Walker lined up in our regional, and then obviously something happened with his commentating work and whatnot, and it kind of slipped my mind because Brock was going to be the next one. I was like, man, we're going to do something different. You're going to come out here, you're going to throw out the first football. So instead of a baseball, we're going to have our catcher back there. You're going to throw out a football, and he was all about it. It ended up not happening, but we'll eventually have him do that. He's the most impressive.
I need to have him on the show. I have not had him on this show.
You never know. He'd come on in 2 seconds, but he doesn't like talking about himself. I'm
going to take you up on that. I'm going to have him. Now, before I let you go, I just want to for people that don't know, and again, you beat Southeastern Florida in the championship game. They had to beat you twice. Didn't need to go to a second game, but you were down. What was it, 4-0 early on, and then 6-2 or something like that early on?
4-0, and then we responded with 3, but we left a couple on with like 1 out that we should have scored more. And then they went back up. I think they were up 6-4 and then 7-5, and then we finished 13-7.
Yeah, I was following it. I was actually doing some side work, but I had it on my phone the entire time. I couldn't get away from it. I mean, you had me. You had me enthralled, but here's some little bullet points to go with your 59-0 in the NAIA World Series title. 8 wins this season by 15 or more runs, including you had that 3-game series against Texas. What was it? Texas
College. I don't even want to talk about that one.
Okay,
they're a program that COVID killed their program, but they're trying to recover, and they've actually gotten a lot better.
Well, we won't go into what the scores were of this game, but if you want to go look it up, it's easy to find. Your team for the season, had a 361 batting average. That is insane. You had a 238 ERA, and your opponents were batting 192 against you, Coach. I mean, I think those numbers are just as silly as the 59-0 to have a 361 team batting average and a 192 opponent's batting average. I mean, how good did you know this team was going into the season? I mean, nobody thinks this, but these numbers are just crazy.
Look, we had a really good roster. I will tell you, I could probably make a book at it, and I've got clips of things. This fall was the ugliest fall you've ever seen. But you could look out there and knew we had a lot of talent. And the way we do things, it's designed to have some. I'll just give you. Let me sum the fall up for you. We had a ball that was hit to left center field in a scrimmage. Center fielder went back. Terrible read. Jumped up. Hits the wall. Rolls 4 times, and while he's rolling, the guy that hit it trips around first, goes to second, trips, somersaults, and then has to crawl back to second. That's the way our fall looked the entire fall. The most impressive thing and it's big for us, and I believe it puts your pitching in a position to have a 2-something ERA if you get the right athletes defensively. Our defensive fielding percentage is what I'm so proud about. We finished, I think, 982. That either tied or is 0.13 away from the national record. We have made it a priority since we got here to get the pitching and defense better. And for the last 5 years straight, we have broken and this is our own records. 5 years straight have broken the program history record for fielding percentage, and to field 982 and have 30 errors in 59 games, I think it was. That's unheard of. And that's what I give our guys, because I drilled their tail every day. And you want to talk about the one time I might look angry or whatever in practice. Come watch this when we get to the afternoon and I hammered about it. And I tell you what, they did everything that we asked them to defensively. And that's one thing I'm the most proud about.
Very stimulating, right, Coach? Are you going to have to next year is going to be interesting?
It's going to be. I told everybody, because we returned some position players, but the starting lineup that we set at the end of the year, none of them are back, and I feel sorry for the new group coming in. Not from a standpoint, they know what they're signing up for. They're going to get a chance to win at a high level, but I'm going to probably be on them in practice, but in a way that, prepares them for on and off the field, for those moments where they're going to have to make some decisions and make things happy. So it's all out of the right way.
Brian Cavett asked, he says he wants to know, Coach Neff, he searched for a pilot's cap, but can't find one. How could people get LSU-Shreveport merch?
Well, we will be opening up we always open up a couple times a year, a normal store where you can buy some of our stuff. Obviously, our game is a little bit different. Now, if you want, we have 2 different stores, and actually I think they're working on a 3rd of national title gear right now, where one is through our foundation, one is through the school, and those should be on our athletics website. If they can't find it, go to our athletics Facebook page, LSU-S Athletics, and they've got a few different links on there that are open for, I think, another 10 days where you can go on there and buy some gear. I'm going to have to go get me a pilot's cap. I mean, there's only one team in the history of sports that's ever gone 59-0. This is for you, and I hope it tunes everybody. Give me a text. I'll get you something. You've had me on here. Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, you give me a text, and we'll get you hooked up. I'm gonna, and I will wear it on the air, and I'll wear it proudly. Coach Brad Neffendorf, I know your phone has been blowing up. I can't imagine how many just over the past week or whatever. How many interviews do you think you've done? Well, I'll just give you an example of yesterday. I started, I went on a local radio show here. It was at 8:15. I was supposed to be there. Started at 8:30. I was done doing, which has been great, doing this, different versions of this. I think I was done at 3:30 yesterday. Had another one last night. And then obviously this with you guys this morning. Then the Wall Street Journal published one today. I was on one with Inside Pitch yesterday, which is a major college baseball magazine. Yep. They're actually going to put us on the front, have a major spread inside. So you know what, though? I don't care when it slows down, because these guys deserve to be praised and being anything that they can for what they've done. And then I will tell you what, if it's ever broken, that next team deserves if somebody goes 60-0 or what, it's unbelievable. And I'm not saying that because I'm in the middle of it. I've seen teams that have lost 2 or 3 games, and I praise them going, this is the most incredible thing in baseball I've ever seen. These guys deserve everything that is going on right now. Well, Coach, I think it was May 12th was when you were on before. So people can go check out if they want to see it. It's easy to find on our Dattitude YouTube page. But I will say this. You are so much you're a lot more lighthearted right now, and you're free going. Your speech is a little bit more free going today than it was when you still had 8 games to go to win a national championship. So I can only imagine what just the pressure that is on not just you and your kids, just the pressure and to get through it. No pressure. And look, you can disagree with me. We didn't feel any pressure. I would say the only time we felt anything, and it wasn't even pressure, it was game 1 of the World Series. We won and we jumped out on them, and 6-3 is probably closer than what it really was. Yeah. I think there was I don't know, like I felt like we had to go in as a team and, hey, we're going to compete to win this thing, but let's go prove a point in game one to, that everybody, that what we've done. So, and, we had to adjust that as a program, and then we were fine going forward. I don't think there was any pressure felt, but when you talk about me interviewing, look, man, I'm a focused, like, so when we get in season, it's not that I'm a different person or anything like that, but you can probably tell the difference in focus. Right now I enjoyed every bit of it. Right now it's a little different. I'm talking about what all went on and not, like you said, not having to worry about a game tomorrow, whatnot. No, look, man, this thing doesn't change me. It's not who I am. It's what I do. It doesn't define my life. It doesn't. But what does is the relationships with these guys, and I'm so proud of them.
Well, Coach, I hope you and your wife and your kids get a chance to go relax on a vacation somewhere soon. I know it's probably not going to be tomorrow, but hopefully in the very near future, y'all will get to go and get away from all this craziness, something that, and just enjoy it by yourself and with your family and the ones you love the most, because you deserve it. And we appreciate you taking time to come on the show this morning.
I've always enjoyed it with you guys, and I appreciate it. If you guys never know, and I'll give it Brock. We'll get you hooked up. And give me a text.
I will give you a text, and I'll wear a 7 5/8. I am looking forward to wearing that LSU Shreveport Pilots cap on the air here on Dattitude. Coach, thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Talk to you soon. Coach Brad Neffendorf, everybody. Look, I'm just telling you, man. He has been outstanding just through this whole thing, and I don't even know how I got in contact with him the first time. I think I just reached out. I think I just emailed him out of the blue. And he came on right off the bat, didn't ask any questions. And then I think I texted him a couple times towards the end. And then when it was over, but he had so many requests. I mean, he's like, well, I hope y'all can. Of course, we're gonna do whatever we can. I mean, we're gonna adjust to your schedule. So it was supposed to be a recorded interview yesterday, and then something happened last minute, and he had other requests, and he got me confused with a completely fine, and it actually worked out better that I was here on live. So how does the team go 59-0? You just heard it from Coach Brad Neffendorf. I can't wait to see what is in store for not just the Pilots, for Coach Neff. I mean, he's a young dude. He's got big things in store going forward. And I appreciate him taking the time out to go. Look, it's about that time to get to our list. Look, before I bring Gabe on, this when you do lists like this, so today's list is going to be where this is I'm not going to say it's a series, because a series means it's going to happen on this day and this day. We might not have another one this summer. We probably will. We'll probably have one more in the offseason, maybe two more. We'll see how it goes. We probably won't have another one until after vacation. But I think this is a fun thing to do, and definitely a fun thing to do in the offseason, because once you get into the routine of the season, you don't have time to do these sorts of things. Because we have our betting show on Thursdays, and we go back to 4 days a week, starting at the end of August or early September. And you don't have time to do the list, and you're talking to guests and whatever it is, and you're talking about this season itself. So we came up with this idea, Gabe and I, about different things that we could do. And so we came up with NFL quarterback rooms in the 2000s, because I think we were talking one day about, I don't know, different quarterbacks or whatever. And this would be a great start to, because the Saints are going to be high. I mean, not going to give any spoiler alerts, but of course the Saints, when you talk about 2000s, but the hard part was you got to get the top. So the way we did it is top 3 quarterbacks for each team in the 2000s. Now, most of them were pretty straightforward. I mean, for the Saints, look, I know there's going to be debate, but there'll be little debate, put it that way. Anything other than Brees, Brooks, and Carr, you're cray-cray, okay, in the 2000s. Jameis Winston didn't play enough games to be in there, okay? He would be the only other one that would even have a chance to be in it. Teddy Bridgewater started 5 games. You can't do that. So as we go along here with this list, I am encouraging you to give your input. We will show it, okay? We'll see what y'all think. But as we go along, and I'm bringing Gabe now, one of the things that I thought was interesting, Gabe, was when I was doing this, again, you don't know what my list is, but I know what yours is, so I have an advantage here. But I was surprised at how similar our lists were. Now, there are a couple teams here and there that were, kind of far off, nothing ridiculous. But when
I'm intrigued to see what those teams are.
Even like the 30. So the way that I did it was we got 32 through 27, then we got 26 through 20, and then I think 17 through whatever.
17 through 13, and then we're going to discuss the top 12.
Right, and on an individual basis. But it's kind of interesting how they go. So anyway, again, this is how we did our list. Gabe did his top 3 quarterbacks for each team. Our top 3 quarterbacks for each team. A lot of them are the same, but they're not necessarily the same. Okay. And that's how we went after we made our top 3 for each team. We went through and ranked them from 32 to 1. Go ahead.
Should we run through the 3 quarterbacks that we each had when we do each team?
I don't know. I don't know that we're going to talk about each one from.
Well, no, I'm not saying talk about each one, but just quickly list their names.
Well, I think what we're going to do is here when we get to these first couple lists at the bottom, below 16 especially, we're just going to kind of like briefly go. Yeah. Pick 1 or 2 teams that you want to talk about from these segments, and then we'll kind of move on. So,
are there any other messages?
Earl's Picks wants to know how many has Taysom started. Probably 7.
Taysom Hill is nowhere near the top.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Taysom Hill is not count as a top 3 quarterback in the 2000s for the same. He's not even close. I mean, I would.
Any other messages you want to pass on before we start this, Jim?
Not that I can think of. We're doing the head.
Queuing up your ad read, which you said you would do.
Oh gosh, I'm glad you. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder, man. How could I forget it? I'm so enthralled. I'm so excited about getting LSU-S merch. I'm not joking. That I apologize, Nick Braden.
Chad, you're getting ahead of us.
Before we get to the rest of the show, let me tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. They are very patient. They could probably use some LSU-S merch too. Of course, they are a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, this dumb show host here, they can figure out what that business is worth. If that's you or someone you know, it's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden, Ron Hemelt. Find them. They will start by scheduling a complimentary evaluation from their offices either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. By the way, I'm going to tell you how to find them in just a minute. From there, you will be well informed to begin the decision on if you want to proceed. If you want to proceed, of course you want to proceed. There are no companies in this area with their dedication and success. They will begin an extensive auction process from established private equity funds from around the world. They are fully licensed. They're ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important, and it has nothing to do with this damn list. What's really important, Gabe Henderson?
The rest of your life.
Absolutely. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. That's the most important list. That's the most important list. I'm excited when I get free stuff. Who isn't? Chad Gage knew Evangeline was coming up next. Chad Gage also says Green Bay almost or has to be close to number 1 with Favre, Rodgers, and Love. Well, I guess we're going to
ahead of us, Chad.
And Mally Mouse says Love hasn't won anything, but the Packers are still a top 5 to 10 for sure.
They are top 5 to 10.
Spoiler alert.
And they're top 5 to
10. Spoiler alert, they are top 5 in both of our lists. That's the only spoiler alert you get. Okay, let's move on. And again, we're going to talk about these bottom feeder teams just briefly. If you want to pick out a couple teams that you want to mention, as we go along with the comments, David Ash's Love is overrated. I think I disagree on that one, my friend. And UBN says Favre, spelled wrong, by the way. If you're gonna diss him, spell his name right. UBN says Favre is the most overrated quarterback in history. That is absurd. That is an absurd statement, my friend. All right. Anyway, here we go. Starting out with 27 through 32, or should I say 32 through 27. The worst quarterback room, we agree on that one. I don't think there's any question that the Cleveland Browns have the worst quarterback room of the 2000s. And honestly,
who are the 3 quarterbacks in your Browns?
Okay, I gotta call up. By the way, I want to show this. I don't do hardly anything on paper anymore. Okay,
I didn't do it on paper.
I was working out of my car yesterday, and so when I had breaks, I was writing them down. That's how I did my list. Going through on my phone. Anyway, So I heard when I want to write stuff down, I actually write on my iPad. I have a Apple Pencil, and I write everything on my iPad. But anyway, so my top 3 quarterbacks for Cleveland. Again, I don't want to waste too much time talking about the bottom feeders.
Yeah.
But Baker, it was tough. I mean, after Baker, it was tough.
It's tough.
I got Tim Couch and then Derek Anderson.
I put Joe Flacco instead of Derek Anderson, but
I don't think it matters. I mean, that's
Joe
clearly
Flacco made the playoffs.
Playoffs.
That's why I put him on here.
Anyway.
So one of the reasons this is so tough, and one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about this specifically is because we didn't really have criteria. Like we
didn't.
We didn't necessarily say team success is number one, individual success. We just completely went off our own criteria, and I'm intrigued to see where we go with this.
Yeah, you got Chicago 31. I got them 29. You got the Jets 28. I got them 31. Who cares? They both stink. You got Jacksonville 29. I got them 30. So we're all in the same. We both have Vegas at 27. So I found this alone. When you're talking about the bottom, I mean, our bottom is almost identical. It's just not exactly in the same order. Some of them are, but I just thought it was interesting. So, I mean, I don't think there's any team that we really need to talk. I mean, the Jets, I don't know. I had Mark Sanchez as number 1. Who did you have?
Yeah, I had Mark Sanchez
as
number 1 for the Jets.
I mean, when you're talking about dude who did the butt
Sanchez,
fumble.
Pennington, and Fitzpatrick were my 3.
I had Sanchez, Pennington, and I put Wilson / Sam Darnold. Who cares?
Fact that I read them.
It doesn't matter. All right, moving on. We're not.
That's not true.
I don't want this to stay here forever. All right. Moving on to 26 through 21. All right, here we got some differences. I got Tennessee at 26. You got Washington at 26. I got them at 25. Same. But to me, the thing I found interesting about Washington, and we both agreed on this. I have Jaden Daniels as their second best quarterback of the 2000s, and he only played 1 season.
I also have him as my number 2. Yeah.
You can't be. I mean, Kirk Cousins is number 1. You can't be too high when you only played one. When your best quarterback only played 1 season. So I found that interesting that we were both about the same there.
Yep. So I do want to comment on Tennessee. The reason that I have Tennessee a little higher than you is because Steve McNair won an MVP.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you said that because I actually went and looked. That was one of the teams that you made me go look. Hang on real quick. That was one of the teams you made me go look and made me question myself. And I didn't realize that. I think he played for 3 seasons in the 2000s, and I didn't think he played that long, which is why I probably would have bumped Tennessee up a little bit as well. So I'm actually more inclined to go with your 23
even
than
then,
26.
Ryan Tannehill made an AFC Championship game, and Marcus Mariota, say what you will about his career, was not bad in Tennessee.
Yeah,
I thought for the bottom feeders, as far as they were concerned, Tennessee was a pretty good option up here.
All right, so those who are listening to the podcast, we basically told you who 32 through 27 was. For me, I have Tennessee at 26, Washington at 25, Carolina at 24, Houston at 23, Minnesota. I know Houston is, look, to me, 23 through 17. That was you asked me before was the top hard. Now you know what was harder for me? Doing the middle, because really I think maybe
there were
14 through 22 or 23. You kind of flip the coin. Anyway, I got Houston at 23, Minnesota at 22, and Detroit at 21. You have Washington 26, Carolina 25, San Francisco 24, Tennessee 23, Buffalo 22, and Minnesota 21. We both have Minnesota in about the same spot. For Minnesota, I had Kirk Cousins, Dante Culpepper, and Teddy Two Gloves.
You said for who?
For Minnesota.
I had Cousins, Culpepper, Favre.
Oh, yeah, you could have okay. You could have put Favre in there. Yeah, probably so. You're probably right. Probably. But we both had him about the same place. And then Buffalo, I mean, you got him at 22. You'll see him in my list coming up. But, after Josh Allen, I mean, there's nothing. I mean,
Josh Allen's fantastic. And I debated putting them higher just because of Josh Allen. But with one of the things that I had to consider here is some of these current guys, Josh Allen is not enough to bump up. My guys were Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tyrod Taylor after that. He's what Josh Allen has done right now is not enough to bump them up, but what he's going to do in his career would definitely get them higher on this list.
Rob says a whole lot of mediocrity in it. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Charles, we didn't even get the Saints yet. chill. Brees should have at least one MVP. I mean, he should. That's true. Earl's picks, we're not there yet. Saints top 3 from 2000 and now. Can't be a debate that it's other than Brees, Carr, and Brooks started over 14 games of their only choices.
I won't give away too many spoilers,
Brian says
far off.
It's Colts, Saints, Kansas City, Green Bay, and the Patriots.
You're not too far off from what
all right. Let's move on to the next side because I do want to get to the top 12. I mean, all right, 17 through 20. All right, here's a big difference. I'm not going to give any spoilers to where you have Tampa Bay, but we had that was one. I think that was our biggest disparity. Was Tampa Bay was one of them. I got them at 20. I'm not going to say where you have them, but you have them significantly higher. I have Buffalo at 19. I thought Josh Allen was just that good to have him at. I mean, 19 is a little below average, but I think he's that damn good to where he puts Buffalo in the top 20. We have a significant disparity on Cincinnati, and
yes, we do.
I kind of struggled with it. Look, as great as Joe Burrow's been, Carson Palmer was okay. Andy Dalton was fine. I could say maybe I have them a little too low, but I don't want to give too many spoiler alerts. I'll let you talk about Cincinnati when we get there, but again, that's one of the teams we did have a pretty big difference in. And then the Giants were fairly close. You have them at 20. I have them at 17. And I mean, when you look at the Giants, I mean, look, Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls. That's why I have him at 17. Probably he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, but I could see why you have him a little lower at 20. I mean, after that, I had David Jones and Daniel Jones and Kerry Collins.
Yeah, so did I. I had Kerry Collins above Daniel Jones, but yeah. I mean, to me, looking at my list right here, I have the Giants at 20, Broncos at 19, Texans at 18, Steelers at 17. The Giants and the Steelers are basically the same thing. No. You have a really good quarterback who's probably a Hall of Famer with both of them, but after that, your list is awful. And then I guess you could say Denver is the same thing. I mean, Peyton was there for such a short time. He was so good, but
Jake Plummer was okay.
Jake Plummer was okay. And then Jay Cutler, I think, was my third quarterback.
I got Brian Greasy. I actually think I have them obviously higher. We'll talk about Denver.
I just don't think Peyton was there long enough to carry that road.
Yeah, but again, I don't want to get into spoiler because I'm going to talk about Denver for a minute. But I mean, he wasn't just there; it's what he did when he was there. No,
I agree. I agree. I just don't think he was there long enough to.
All right, the
rest obviously that comes down to the differences in criteria we have.
The rest of your list, you got here. You got 19, Denver at 19. Houston, maybe a little bias creeping into the head there. I don't know. Maybe.
Can I explain that one real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So when I created this list, I actually did it with a couple of my friends, neither of them being Texans fans, and I fought for Houston to be lower on this list. I thought they should be around where the Giants are, and I was told by both of them, non-Texans fans, Eagles and Ravens fans respectively, I was told that the Texans should be higher because of the consistency among the 3 quarterbacks.
Consistently mediocre. I mean,
Deshaun Watson was really good.
Matt Schaub is my number 1.
Schaub was a good quarterback.
He was okay
until the end when he really dropped off. He was a good quarterback.
Deshaun Watson is my number 2, and I'm sorry, CJ Stroud's my number 2, even though he's only been there 2 years. And Deshaun Watson is my number 3.
Watson was electric with the Texans.
He was, but I mean, I don't know. I have a problem.
He was really good.
I'm not going to fight you on that, but it's not that far off. I got him at 22. Yeah, exactly. So,
but I actually fought for the Texans to be a little lower. And I received pushback. So
you have Pittsburgh at 17, and actually, I don't say a huge difference there, but we have a significant difference. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Because after the obvious, I mean, it's horrendous.
All right. I don't want to spend. We're not going to spend more than a minute talking about even like 12 through 6. We'll talk about the top 5. But anyway, 13 through 16 before we get to our individual teams. I have San Francisco fairly higher than you do. And we talked about
different quarterbacks for them.
Well, we do have different quarterbacks. And interestingly, we texted about San Francisco because we both had look, they have probably 5 guys who could have been on their list of 3, and they're all decent. So that's why I have them right in the middle. Sorry, Uncle Big Nick, but I got my order is Alex Smith, Jeff Garcia, and Colin Kaepernick. And I struggled between I had Kaepernick and Purdy about the same. And I really struggle with them. But Cap, I thought his play there a little longer. He did kind of the same thing that Purdy did, but he's been there a little longer. So that's why I put him ahead of Purdy. Just barely, though. Just barely ahead of Purdy.
I had Garoppolo in there instead of Alex Smith, and I had Purdy over Cap. It feels weird, and I told this to my friends when I was doing this list. It feels really weird to leave out both Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick, given how much success they had with San Francisco. But that defense was incredible. And if you look at it, statistically, Garoppolo and Purdy are better and on pace to be better.
Yeah, and
Garoppolo's stats.
UBN
say what
hates.
you will.
By the way,
he
he
stats.
hates.
They're surprising.
He hates.
That's fine.
Jimmy G.
I get that. His stats are a lot better than you would think.
All right. Well, he hates
They
it.
really are.
No, Northern Saint, you're getting ahead of us. If you go by championships, and I don't go by championships, by the way. I think going by championships when you're deciding individual players, it's a when you talk about like all time, when you talk about quarterbacks of all, and Brees with Brunel, no, Brunel. What he started?
Can we talk about championships real quick before we get into the championships? I think talking about championships with like these guys with the middling teams, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't.
But once you get into when you're comparing elite versus elite, I think then you can bring championships in as a complementary argument.
Yeah.
But I don't think they should be the driving force behind this argument.
Okay. All right. Let's move into. All right. Now, top 12, we have individual slots for each one of these but I don't, again, Gabe, I don't want to spend too much time talking about them. Just real briefly, we'll tell you who our three quarterbacks, but I have them listed here.
I had Detroit a lot higher than you, I think.
You obviously have Detroit. Yeah. I had Detroit like 20s. We'll talk about Detroit. I have Stafford, Goff, and Joey Harrington.
So did I.
I mean, they were so bad. I mean, Matt Stafford's a great quarterback.
Been really good.
No, John, it's just
and Stafford. Stafford was incredible.
I mean, part of that look when you do lists like this, I don't care what you say. Everyone's going to have some bias creep into it, and I acknowledge my bias for Jared Goff. I think you want to talk about overrated. I think Jared Goff, he has been super lucky to be in the right place at the right time, and so I think Jared Goff.
You could say that about every.
You could.
Good player.
Not every good, but maybe. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Now we're going to go through 12. By the way, just real quick for those who are listening, probably didn't do a good enough job of telling you what our rankings are. I'm assuming too much that you can see our list here. For me, 16 through 13, I had San Francisco at 16. 15 was Seattle. Russell Wilson was phenomenal, and when he was with Seattle, Hasselbeck was good. I probably if I had to do it again, I might put the Rams a little higher. I have them at 14. Rams, I have my list for the Rams is Stafford, Bulger, and Jared Goff, and I didn't include Kurt Warner. And I will say this: when I looked at your list, Gabe, because I didn't want to look at your list till I was done.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably should have had the Rams higher because I didn't include Warner because I thought he only played 1 or 2 seasons, but he actually played 3 full seasons with the Rams in the 2000s. Yeah, and I should have moved them probably a little bit higher. Number 13, I have Atlanta, Matt Ryan and Mike Vick. Maybe I should. That's about right for Atlanta. So anyway,
Atlanta was one of those teams where I really debated top 12.
Yeah, they were on the borderline, and hence they're 13. They just missed it. Gabe's 16 through 13 is Arizona at 16. 15 is Dallas. 14 Seattle. 13 Detroit. So obviously, 2 of those teams, 16 and 15, are in my top 12 because we haven't talked about it. I haven't talked about them yet. I haven't mentioned them yet. And then Seattle, I have them 15. Gabe has them 14, and Gabe, pretty big differential. Detroit at 13. All right, let's get into our top 12 and have some fun. Let's see what kind of comments we got real quick. The Giants shouldn't be less than 25 of championships. We
never said championships are not included.
Yeah, they're included, but they're just
the Hall of Fame.
They're just not the number one factor for me. They were important, but they weren't necessarily the number one.
I didn't start really factoring them in until we started talking about like the top 10.
Okay.
When we started talking, separating elite versus elite.
Northern Saint, by the way, I'm not exactly sure what you're saying here, but I did plenty of research.
We did research.
Trust me. I've done plenty of research. I don't even know what you're talking about there. All right, anyway, moving on. Number 12. All right, I got the Steelers here at number 12. You got Tampa Bay higher than obviously I do, as I put my list down here. I got to me, there were a couple teams, Gabe, for me. One guy was enough to make, not for every team, but one guy was enough to make a huge jump. And Big Ben played so long in Pittsburgh and meant so much to that team that I just thought that was enough to get them right at the bottom of the top 12. And Cordell Stewart, people don't realize, I had to go back. I had to make sure he played, I think, 3 years in the 2000s. Cordell Stewart, again, I'm a little bias creeping in because he went to Everett. We're both West Bankers, so I'm a big Cordell Stewart fan. I always have been of Slash. That was enough to get them in the top 12 for me.
Your Steelers list was different than mine. I had Ben Roethlisberger, Tommy Maddox, and Mason Rudolph.
Oh,
yeah. Rudolph has been better than Pickett.
Did you look at Cordell Stewart and see how long he played in the stats with them at the time when he played?
Yeah, they weren't better than either of the guys that I named.
Yeah, I don't think. All right, well, look, again, 12, 13, 14. There's not that much difference there. Mm-hmm. But they were just, Big Ben, and to me, was enough. He played such a 16, 17-year career, however long it was, to be that good, and they were good just about every year he played there. So that was enough to get him in the top 12 for me. For you, obviously, number 12, you got the Bucs, and I just didn't think Brady's time. And no, look, don't get me wrong. You win a Super Bowl, that's great. But it just goes to show your championship appearance is probably a little less important to you than it is to me. So, I mean, more important.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I talked earlier about Denver and how Peyton Manning didn't do enough, or he wasn't there long enough to bring up the other two guys. Here's the thing. Tom Brady with the Bucs and Peyton Manning with the Broncos are very similar. You can look at those two as what and what. For me, it was Jameis Winston and Baker Mayfield's impact being significantly greater than that of Jay Cutler and Jake Plummer. So that's why I had Tampa Bay up here, because these are three solid quarterbacks. Say what you will, Jameis Winston was a solid to decent quarterback in Tampa.
Yeah.
And Baker Mayfield has been excellent so far. He's an excellent third representative.
Northern Saint wants to know what I think Cordell was an early version of Taysom. Yeah, maybe. I think Cordell was probably a better quarterback. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a good comparison. All right, moving on. Number 11. So I got the Steelers at 12, and Gabe's got the Bucs at 12. Number 11. I got Denver way higher than you. And again, I think it goes back to it's Jake Plummer. First of all, he was kind of like He was kind of like Peyton, obviously on a lesser degree. We had some good seasons in Denver, and Peyton, he threw for 5,000 yards. Was it once or twice with Denver? At least once with Denver, and winning Super Bowl 50. I just think that was enough to get them in the top 10. And Brian Griese wasn't a terrible quarterback. It's not like you're just throwing in somebody as the third quarterback. Brian Griese was actually a decent quarterback. So I just thought Denver's quarterback room was enough to get them in the top 12. Not enough in the top 10, but top 12.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I certainly see the argument. I think they're much lower just because, I mean, I've already talked about it. I don't think Manning was there long enough, and I think the other guys are too mediocre to land this high on the list. But.
Well, Saints fans won't like your number 11, but I think it's fair. I mean, I had him at 13. You have him at 11. It's what and what. Yeah. And you have Matt Ryan, Michael Vick, and you got Desmond and Ridder as your third quarterback. I actually, let me get my sheet here. Who did I have? I had Chris Chandler, I think. Yeah, I had Chris Chandler again. I mean, who cares who number 3 is? Desmond Ridder sucks.
Yes.
So I mean, Chris Chandler was decent while he played, but who cares? I mean, so it didn't matter. It's Ryan and Vic, and I can't argue with 11. That's actually a decent spot.
Yeah, I mean, they're two guys who
hold on here. Go ahead.
Their game, two guys who at the height of their game were among the top quarterbacks in the NFL. I found it hard to find a better 1-2 punch in the middle of these rankings than Ryan and Vic.
Yeah.
So
it was fun. All right.
See, David +1 #. That's actually something I considered. I considered.
And I considered Cousins as well. Yeah. David. I had Cousins. The thought, but the fact is that the way that last year ended, I think kind of it wasn't enough. So
Desmond Ridder had a few years of going in and out of the starting.
Yeah. I just whatever. I don't think it matters to the third quarterback. No. I mean, you're basically doing it for Matt Ryan, and Michael Vick was good enough Michael Vick was good enough to be on this list. All right. This is interesting, and these are two teams that we both have decent differential on. I have Arizona at the bottom of my top 10 here. Kurt Warner with Arizona, I don't think gets enough credit. Took them to a Super Bowl and kind of changed the mentality. And then I just think Kyler Murray is just that damn good. I don't care who number 3 is. Carson Palmer does. I mean, it's funny because
I had Palmer over Murray.
Well, it's funny because we both have Carson Palmer at number 10 as our third quarterback. You got him with the Bengals, and I got him here with the Cardinals. I just thought that Arizona probably, when you're talking about it, and sometimes I try to overcorrect a bias, because Arizona, when you talk about Arizona, you just automatically think them as a crappy team, like when you think of Detroit overall. So I was trying to do my anti-bias thing and maybe bump Arizona up here. But I think they deserve to be bottom top 10 or right outside of the top 10, because I think those 3 quarterbacks, Kurt Warner, obviously a Hall of Famer. And then you talk about Murray and Palmer, both good quarterbacks. Not great quarterbacks, both good quarterbacks.
Yeah, when you're talking about these two teams that we have, these are two teams that 1 through 3 very solid options. Yeah. The reason I think I had Arizona a few spots lower than you, I think I had him at 16. 16, yeah. It's because of Kyler Murray. I like Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray's a good quarterback. I think there are a lot of empty stats there with Kyler. And I think while wins are not quarterback stats, I think the abysmal record that the Cardinals have had under him has to factor in at some
Their
point.
defenses, though, have been bad. And he's had really, for the majority of his career, he just hasn't, besides Larry Fitzgerald, who was at obviously the tail end of his career, just hasn't had a fantastic, it just hasn't had a good wide receiver.
I think when you look at Kyler Murray, his stats tell a story of someone who's a lot better than he actually is right now. And I say that sounds harsh. I like Kyler Murray. I just viewed this as a lot of empty stats.
Yeah, I just think he's fun to watch. And
I completely agree. I think he's overhated.
All right, for you, number 10, talk about it. So a lot of the New Orleans fans will love it. You have the Bengals at number 10. Obviously, Joe Burrow meant that much to you. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with Andy Dalton and Carson Palmer, who you have second and third, and that helps complete that room. But Joe Burrow, to me, just hadn't played long enough to make the Bengals a top 10 team.
No, that's fair. Like I said, I looked at this as 3 guys who are very solid, had very good careers with the Bengals, and I think the impact that – say what you will about Andy Dalton's individual stats, the impact he had on that team as a leader. Andy Dalton was a very good quarterback at his prime, and I think Joe Burrow has led them to the Super Bowl, obviously, and I think he's put up some big numbers. So I had these guys a little higher perhaps than most, but I felt because of the consistency at 1 through 3 they deserve to be up here.
Well, as we go along here, if you've been in and out of the DAT this morning, we're doing our DAT list here with Gabe Henderson. We have not, neither one of us, we have not gotten to the Saints yet. So you're back in plenty of time as we enter the top 10, obviously. I mean, if you don't have the Saints quarterback room in your top 10, then you're just cray-cray. Earl's pick says Burrow is top 3 in the league. Yeah, maybe. But even if he is top 3, to me, he just hadn't played long enough to make Bengals a top 10. So anyway,
that's the same problem I had with Allen when I put him.
I hear you.
22. He's just not played long enough to carry the team.
We're gonna get to not playing long enough in
you're not far off, Charles.
In a few minutes.
Spoiler alert.
All right, number 9 as we go up the list. Here's another one that's different. To me, and look, who cares who the third quarterback is? But Tony Romo is so underrated as a quarterback to me, and I got Dallas at number 9. I just think Tony Romo is so underrated. And look, Dak's great. I mean, I'm not going to just call him good. Dak's been a great quarterback.
Very good.
I don't think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, but Tony Romo and Dak Prescott are enough for me to have Dallas in the top 10. And again, I know people hate Dallas, so we talk about bias again. I didn't want to drop Dallas just because we don't like Dallas. But Tony Romo and Dak Prescott are enough to have this team at number 9 to me.
I didn't think Dak was good enough to carry. I agree that Tony Romo is very good. I actually didn't have Carter as my third quarterback. I had Drew Bledsoe for Dallas.
Okay. That's fair, and it doesn't matter. I mean, number 3 just doesn't matter. I actually almost put
Earl, we have not.
In fact, I have Bledsoe written down and circled like he could have been number 3.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I agree that Romo is underrated. I don't think Dak has done enough to be mentioned in that great quarterback list. So I had him slightly lower. I had him at 15.
Yeah, I mean Quincy Carter was just played a little bit more. I think Earl's picks. We have not gotten. Neither one of us have gotten to the Colts yet. So the answer is no to that. Mal says Romo was fun to watch. Just made a lot of bonehead decisions at the worst time. There's only one that I can really think of. I don't know. Romo. Rob says Romo
thinking
was
about the snap.
Yeah, the snap.
No, he made the right decision there.
Okay.
It was an unfortunate situation. He bobbled the snap.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. He made the best of it.
Rob says Romo is brilliant, should never be considered elite. I mean, okay. I mean, being in the top 10 in the century, I don't know if that makes you elite or not.
I don't think he's top 10 in the century.
Well, I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying this quarterback room is to be a part of that to help make Dallas. So yeah,
I think he's a great quarterback. He's very underappreciated.
Anyway, I think that's a good. Butt snap wasn't Romo. That was Mark Sanchez. Yeah. All right, moving on. Not moving on yet. You got the Eagles at number 9 with Donovan McNabb. Spoiler alert. I'm going to be talking about this same trio very shortly. You got McNabb, Hurts, and Wentz at number 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, 3 guys who have been MVP candidates as individuals. You've got 3 guys who arguably quarterback their team to Super Bowls. I know Wentz got hurt in 2018, but I don't think anyone thinks any differently of the Eagles if he's in there instead of Nick Foles. And people forget, that season, Wentz was an MVP. He was probably going to win the MVP if he stayed healthy, not torn his ACL. So, I mean, you've got 3 guys here who
certainly as a number 3 as your
who
third,
were very good as individuals. I mean, I think the Eagles are undisputed top 10 team.
Yeah, it's your third best, and you know what? I'm not going to argue with you. You know why? Because I got him at number 8. I got the exact same order: McNabb, Hurts, and Wentz. I don't see how they can't be in your top 10. Just Donovan McNabb alone, another guy that doesn't get enough praise for what he did. Kind of turned the Eagles around quite a bit. I mean, the Eagles, people forget, the Eagles went through a long stretch there where they just weren't that great after Reggie White retired and Randall Cunningham started fading off and then ended up leaving. And so the Eagles went through like half a decade where they just weren't very good. And Donovan McNabb kind of changed that. He had some help from Andy Reid, of course. And as you say, Earl's pick says Carson Wentz was going to be MVP that year he got hurt. So Eagles are a top 5 franchise since 2000, well-run organization. I don't disagree with that, Mal. I think you got a good point. So anyway, I'm right with you. I have him at 8. You have him at 9. Doesn't make that much difference. And then you're 8. Again, I think maybe I had the Rams a little too low. I don't know that I necessarily should put them in the top 10, but you have them at 8. You got Stafford, Warner, and Goff. 3. Look, you got 2 of those guys that are going to be in the Hall of Fame. Jared Goff, probably not, but maybe.
No, he's not. He's not.
He's
all very good.
But Stafford is probably going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
I can't say you're wrong about that. That's a solid number. 8 is good for the Rams.
No, Charles. You're probably thinking of Steve McNair, who was killed in a murder-suicide by, I believe,
Donovan McNabb is very much alive.
McNabb is very much alive.
Yeah. He was on a show not too long ago. I saw him. Anyway.
Yeah, Stafford, I believe, is a Hall of Famer. I mean, Kurt Warner, quarterback, the greatest show on turf in 2000. So
yeah. Again, I think I have him too
Super Bowl. He was a solid quarterback.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why I have the Rams this high.
Why did he make a Super Bowl, by the way?
Why didn't go?
Why did he make a Super Bowl?
I'm not going to get into that. Do you want me to die, Jim? I've already yelled enough during the show. Do you want people to return? All right.
Moving on.
Return the favor and yell at me.
Moving on. Number 7. I got the Chargers, obviously lower than you have because we haven't heard from them, and you have the Ravens higher I mean, lower than you. I have the Chargers lower than you have, and you have the Ravens lower than I have. That makes any sense. But we both have the same quarterbacks for both. Chargers, I got Rivers, Herbert, and Brees. And look, just those three guys alone. And again, Brees wasn't Brees when he was playing for them.
No,
but look, Herbert alone, if Herbert was your number one, that'd be enough to probably get the Chargers in the top half of the league. But to have Phillip Rivers in the career that he had, look, I just think that the Chargers, maybe I underrated them a little bit. We'll see what other people think. But look, you can't go wrong when you're talking about these three guys. And I'll let you could say talking about the Chargers again. They're high. You have them higher. You have them higher on your list. Hold on real quick. Let's see. I don't know what that is. Mal says Goff still gets more disrespect than he deserves.
I agree
the
with
coaches
that.
I don't necessarily disagree, but he's been the constant for two franchises, turning things around. Again, I also think he's been super lucky. I agree with Gabe that sometimes, guys got to be lucky, whatever. Earl's Picks thinks that Herbert's overrated. I disagree. I think he's been with the wrong coaches. Herbert's been the opposite. Herbert's been unlucky, in my opinion.
Hold on. No. Hold on, Jim. See, I've been on the show long enough to remember that preseason you got into it with Larry Holder, and you said that Derek Carr was better than Justin Herbert.
Derek Carr was better than Justin Herbert.
Yeah, preseason on our show, Larry and I both went at you because you said Carr was better.
His
than Herbert.
stats for quite a bit were better than Herbert, but anyway. You'll talk about the Chargers in a minute. I want you to talk about Lamar Jackson, Joe Flacco, and Steve McNair for the Ravens. We both have the same quarterbacks again. Obviously, I have the Ravens higher because they haven't showed up on my list yet. But talk about the Ravens at number 7.
Yeah, for me, Lamar Jackson, I think, is easily the number 1 because of his MVPs. He's been brilliant individually. For me, the reason the Ravens weren't a little bit higher, I know you had them a little bit higher. The reason I can't put him higher is because Flacco, while he was a great field general for that team, he just wasn't ever an elite quarterback. And so I looked at his individual stats as opposed to his wins and all of that. And I couldn't take the Ravens any further than 7. I really debated them over the Rams and the Eagles. And I think Lamar kind of gave him that bump, but
the 2000s actually started with Trent Dilfer winning a Super Bowl. Obviously, he's not one of the top 3. He's not better than any of those 3 guys.
No, he's
but he did help them win a Super Bowl. But look, again, I'm not going to get into it too much. Lamar Jackson won 2 MVPs. Yeah, whatever. We're going to talk about him in a minute. All right, moving up, number 6. All right, we could have a little debate here, and let's get it started. Gabe Henderson, I don't know if he's just trying to poke the bear, putting the Saints outside the top 5. I think that's absurd. We'll get to you in a minute. But for me, Patrick Mahomes obviously is, I think, not only the best quarterback playing today, I think he has a chance. He's not there yet, but he has a chance to be the best quarterback who's ever played this game. He still needs probably 4 or 5, maybe even 6 more seasons before he can say that. But that alone, you look at those other 2, and Alex Smith, okay, he's a fine quarterback. Whatever, he's okay. Yeah, Trent Green, okay. But Mahomes by himself puts this team at number 6. And if you had him higher, I probably wouldn't argue with you because Mahomes is that damn good. But you got Kansas City higher, right? We haven't talked about them.
Spoiler alert, I have Kansas City next.
Okay.
Which is why I'm very glad that you had them at 6 because these 2 teams are ones that I debated for a while.
Okay, I really talk about Kansas City first, so we'll just skip over when you get to 5. But talk about Kansas City, and again, Mahomes is just that damn good, and one player does make that much of a difference. And I get he's been in the league the same amount of time as Josh Allen. He just done way more than Josh Allen, and again, Josh Allen doesn't have the potential to be the greatest quarterback of all time. Patrick Mahomes is more than halfway there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about 3-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time MVP, 3-time Super Bowl champion. I mean, Mahomes right now, and I believe he's got a 3.3 to 1 touchdown to interception ratio. He's on pace for like 500 touchdowns and 150 picks. Something like that.
A couple things here real quick. Earl's Pick says Tracy Lawrence and Justin Herbert are the same guy. I didn't know that Justin Herbert sang country songs. That's phenomenal. I mean, that he sings country songs. You mean Trevor Lawrence, and they are not the same guy.
No,
Charles Mangus says
Trevor Lawrence is closer to Daniel Jones.
Give Jaden Daniels 5 years and he will take over Mahomes. Look, I think Jaden Daniels is a fantastic quarterback and he's going to be in this league for a long time, but he's played 1 year in the NFL. Let's slow our roll a little bit. He's nowhere near as good as Patrick Mahomes. We'll get to Northern Saint. We'll get to your comment in a minute. But okay, so anyway, we both feel about the same with the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. All right, get into your Saints, and I'm not going to, again, I obviously have the Saints higher, so I'll talk about the Saints when I get there. But we both have the same quarterbacks in the same order, and I don't think there's really any debate on the quarterbacks in the order. It's Brees.
One of the easiest ones to do.
It's Brees, it's Brooks, and Carr. You got them at number 6. Tell them why you decided to have the Saints outside of your top 5.
Because of Brooks and Carr. One of the biggest internal debates that I had, and the reason that these two teams are the last ones that I marked on here, is because I know that I said you can't look at on pace, but when I look at it, one of the hardest questions to answer is Patrick Mahomes right now already a better quarterback than Brees? I think yes. I have tremendous respect for Drew Brees. Obviously, I think he's one of easily a top 10 quarterback of all time. I don't have a problem saying he's top 5. But what Mahomes is doing, Mahomes is on pace to get close to his passing yards. He's on pace to have a better touchdown to interception ratio, around the same amount of touchdowns. He's already got more MVPs. He's already got 3 times as many Super Bowls. Mahomes, I mean, if someone sits here and says that Mahomes is the second best quarterback of all time, I'm not going to debate anyone on that. And I don't think you would either.
No, I wouldn't. I mean, I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to say.
What he has done in such a short time, we have never seen. We quite literally never seen this. Tom Brady took a long time to get all of that success. I mean, he went long spans without Super Bowl wins. Mahomes is there every single year.
Yeah.
And it's just it's unprecedented. And so that's the reason I gave him the slight edge over the Saints.
I hear you. Again, I'm going to get to the Saints in a minute. So I don't want to give too much spoiler alerts talk here, but look, it is tough. And when you're talking about getting through these, and everybody's everything is going to be different. I mean, maybe all of our 32s will be the same, but when you go through after that, I mean, they're going to be mixed up. It's kind of like when you're talking about an NFL draft. When you're talking about an NFL draft, you do mock drafts. Almost everybody's number 1 is usually the same, but after that, it gets all different. So, I mean, it's a personal thing. It's a personal ranking, and it's not that big of a deal to
here's the thing. So Earl's Picks brings this up. Super Bowls take a team, not an individual. Yes, but Patrick Mahomes, the single most important individual in the league.
They don't get there.
They were not a Super Bowl team.
They don't get
there.
They
were not a
Patrick
Super Bowl
Mahomes.
team before him,
No.
even though they had the same makeup. You can put his supporting cast nowadays is not stellar.
Yeah,
but
it really never has been, honestly.
They are in every single football game. And that's the difference to me. And like I said, I didn't put the Saints at 6 to bait anyone into rage. This genuinely, that was the toughest decision I had on this list.
And look, and there we go. We get to number 5, and we just talked about Mahomes, Smith, Green. You have him in your top 5 again, just ahead of the Saints. It's not that absurd. I mean, honestly, if you want to say Mahomes and Brees are what, then you got to go to Brooks/Carr over Smith/Green. And to me, I think Brooks and Carr are better than Smith and Green, but I don't think it's ridiculous that you don't. So that's really not that.
I think those are what, and I think Mahomes is slightly better than Brees at this stage, and that's why.
Fair enough.
It's very close.
And look, we can say whatever we want. This is why championships mean something. Maybe not mean.
Once you get into these teams, they do.
Maybe not mean everything, which is probably why if the Ravens had won a championship, I probably might have the Ravens even higher than 5, which is what I have them here. I mean, Joe Flacco.
Flacco has won.
Yeah. And so that kind of helps the situation. But Lamar Jackson is just that damn good. He's not Mahomes level, which having him ahead of Mahomes doesn't mean I have Lamar Jackson ahead of Mahomes. It means I have the room of Lamar Jackson, Joe Flacco, and Steve McNair just ahead of the room of Patrick Mahomes, Alex Smith, and Trent Green. But Lamar Jackson, to me, he's not there yet, Gabe. But when you two MVPs, you're talking about. I mean, he's
should
on
be
the
three. Should be 3 MVPs.
Well, I mean, it should be 2. One of them, I think one of them he got, he didn't deserve, and one of them he didn't get, he should have gotten. That's a whole different story. But regardless, Lamar Jackson is clearly on a path to be a Hall of Famer, and he's clearly.
Absolutely. I think he already is.
He's clearly on a path to be potentially one of the top. I don't know, 15. I don't want to say top 10 quarterbacks of all time. I mean, some might have him there.
Let me ask you this.
Anyway,
is he the most athletic quarterback we've ever seen?
You know,
I think yes.
You can make an argument that he is. You can make an argument that he
yes.
is. I mean, look, he's kind of like you put Mike Vick and Randall Cunningham together with their power because he's got power too. People don't talk about his power enough. So, but I actually think he's a better passer than either one of those guys. And Randall Cunningham is fantastic.
Northern saying you've got to be trolling, right?
Trolling about what? His all-time quarterbacks are Aaron Rodgers, Joe Namath, and Doug Williams.
Joe Namath isn't a top 300 quarterback of all time. Never mind 3. Joe Namath.
I hope you mean your favorites because there's a difference between. So. But there's a difference between if those are your 3 favorite quarterbacks, then okay,
that's fine.
That's I don't get. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, but if you're talking about best, I need a drink.
Yeah, to have Joe Namath is one of them. Joe Namath finished with 50 more interceptions than he did.
Joe Namath was not. He actually wasn't
horrible.
He was not a very. Oh well, I wouldn't say horrible. You're comparing. It's hard to compare those times because when you look at the numbers of the best quarterbacks of that day.
No. I know, but Jim, he finished with 50 more interceptions.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
That's bad.
All right, so I got the Ravens at 5. Gabe's got Kansas City at 5. Moving on, number 4. Here we go. Indianapolis Colts for me. Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, and Jacoby Brissett. Gabe Henderson, his number 4 team is the New England Patriots. Tom Brady, Matt Castle, and Mac Jones. I don't know. So who cares? Daniel Jones, Mac Jones, same thing. They aren't really that much different. I'm going to let you go first in this one. Obviously, I have the Patriots higher.
So one of the things that we had to
you have the Colts higher.
One of the things that we had to weigh in here was not only the 3 quarterbacks. We had to weigh how much an individual stint, especially a long one, mattered. And there's never been a more successful individual stint than Tom Brady with the New England Patriots. So I don't care. I mean, Matt Castle and Mac Jones are objectively not good quarterbacks.
Doesn't matter.
But it does not matter because for 19 years with the New England Patriots, what Tom Brady did, we've just never seen it before.
Right.
He's statistically the best quarterback of all time. In terms of success, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. And I think he did enough in that stint to carry them this far on the list.
Obviously, I'm not going to argue with you because I have him higher than 4. We haven't seen him yet. As far as me for the Colts, I struggled with the Colts because I kind of went back and forth with a couple other teams. Colts, if you had the Colts higher, I'm not going to argue with you. If you have the Colts lower than 5, I will argue with you. There's no way the Colts are lower than 5. Okay. Peyton Manning alone. And Andrew Luck, I don't think people realize, look, the dude retired when he was 28. I mean, and I get it. He didn't want to get hurt anymore. And I have no problem with him. Jacoby Brissett's a throw in. You could put whoever you want there. It doesn't matter who the third one is.
I had Phillip Rivers.
Okay. Phillip Rivers played one season or 2?
Season.
One. Yeah. So it doesn't matter who
Brissett stats were horrible with him.
I mean, it is what it is. It doesn't matter. But
we're not talking about the third. We're not putting him on here for the third quarterback.
But Peyton Manning alone is similar to what you got Brady, and then you throw in Luck. I'm not going to argue with him if you have him higher, but to me,
I do.
They would just one notch below because I think Peyton, again, had he stayed with the Colts and not left and gone to the Broncos, I probably would have the Colts higher here. But I think the fact that he left I don't know if it bugged me is the right word, but the fact that he didn't finish his career, a quarterback like that, and look, I guess I didn't let it bug me.
Pushed out.
Yeah, I get it, but I don't care why. It's just, I don't know. Maybe in my head, I don't know. Again, I'm not going to argue if you have him higher, but to me, that's where he belongs.
I completely agree.
Earl's pick says Luck would have been a Hall of Famer of his career.
100%.
Wasn't cut short.
100%.
You know, it is what it is. All right, let's move on. Number 3. Dun dun dun. I got the New Orleans Saints. You got the Indianapolis Colts. All right, 3-4 doesn't make a difference. Manning, Luck, you got Rivers. I'll let you go first since I'm going to talk about the Saints, but you got the Colts at 3, so you can rebut my 4 pick or say it's basically the same thing.
I think Andrew Luck is significantly better than Matt Castle. That's why I put them over the Patriots, and Manning is just slightly worse than Tom Brady. They're still 2 of the greatest ever play.
Yeah, and it's hard to argue. And here for me, the Saints, again, we talk about you're human. When you're making a list, I'm not going to argue that maybe a little bias, maybe bump this up a notch or 2. I think 6 is too low. I wouldn't have a problem with 5 because to me, there is something about the significance of top 5. I don't think there's any, in my mind, there's no question that a quarterback room that it involves Drew Brees for as long as he played and shattered every record. And the only reason why they got broken is because Tom Brady played for 47 years. So, look, I'm not going to argue with what Tom Brady did. That's for sure. But to me, Drew Brees was a game changer. He was a game changer. People followed what Drew Brees did and the way that he and Peyton worked together. And so when I'm talking about this quarterback room, although his name is not on this list, Sean Payton actually is kind of part of this quarterback room because in his mind, he is a quarterback. He played quarterback. And Sean Payton, to me, is part of why this quarterback room is number 3. You're talking about the quarterback room, not just Drew Brees. And Sean Payton's length of time here in New Orleans kind of helps that.
I think the reason that I put them at 6 below teams like the Chiefs and the Patriots is because Brees didn't have that much to show for it other than stats. And that sounds horrible to say, and I'm not saying that in general. Drew Brees is one of the most accomplished quarterbacks to ever play the position, but he didn't have the accolades that guys like Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady have had. And that was the difference maker for me.
Yeah, well, look, I'm surprised we don't have more comments on this, but it is what it is. Again, to me, I probably should have put Brees / Brooks / Peyton because Peyton, although never threw a pass for the Saints, he certainly is part of the NFL quarterback room. Yeah, and if there was any coach that belonged in the conversation of quarterback room, you might go Andy Reid when you're talking about the Chiefs as well, but you're certainly talking about it here with the New Orleans Saints. Let's see.
I don't mind that list, Chad.
Chad's top 5. Chad Gage's. He's got Brady 1, Mahomes 2, Montana 3, Brees 4, Manning 5. Look, I've talked about it before. Maybe we'll do a show on this one day. I don't know. I think Joe Montana is the greatest quarterback who's ever played the game. When you're talking about stats, it's a completely different era. They could take Joe Montana's head off. I mean, Tom Brady played in an era where you might as well put flags on them on the sides and rip their flags off. But whatever. Mal says, what accolades did, and I'm sure he means Brees, have besides Super Bowl, which you guys aren't included? We did not say that. That is not true. Of course, he's missing a league MVP award. Of course, that is true. He absolutely deserved at least one MVP, probably more than one MVP.
Drew Brees, he takes a hit in the MVP department because he played in the golden era of quarterbacks,
and also because he played.
And that's no fault of his own.
Had he played for the?
He also didn't have the Super Bowls. Like I said when I started this list, Super Bowls, when you're talking about the best of the best, have to be considered.
And like Gabe said earlier, we each had our own criteria for the way that we wanted to do them. Gabe may have considered championships differently than I considered championships. Mm-hmm. And so, no, we just, that's okay. That you
no, we didn't say they weren't included. We just said we weren't going to use, and I'm going to speak for you here, Jim, because I think you agree with me. I don't think Super Bowls are a valid argument when you're talking about them as the main sticking point. They have to be a complementary piece.
Yeah.
And to me, the accomplishments of guys like Mahomes and Brady already put him ahead of Brees, albeit barely. That's why I had the Saints just outside the top 5.
All right, we're coming up on almost no chance to finish in under 2 hours, so we got to get rolling here. Let's see, our number 2 on our list. All right, you got the Chargers all the way at number 2 with Rivers, Herbert, and Brees. I struggled with 1 and 2. I went back and forth.
Number 1 was the first thing that I penciled. The second thing that I penciled in behind the Browns at 32.
And we'll talk about number 1 in a minute, but first I'm going to let you talk about the Chargers. I had them at 7, I believe. You have them all the way at 2. What had you? That is a high ranking. Look. I don't think most of the things you're saying. I'm like, it is your list. It's a personal list. It is what it is. But I just think that's a bit high for Phillip Rivers.
It might be. I think Phillip Rivers is one of the most underappreciated quarterbacks to ever play the game. Phillip Rivers, when talking about playing the quarterback position, was incredible. And he never had that team success because of guys like Brady and Manning. He was always competing with them, and he just didn't have the guys around him at all of the time. But, yeah, I mean, when you look at Rivers and Herbert as a 1-2 punch, yeah, I mean, it might be a bit high. I'm not saying these rankings are definite. I will certainly hear argument for the Colts and Patriots above them.
Yeah, I think that's what. Look, again, these are all personal lists. It's just like who's the
greatest. But you look at 1 through 3. I mean, Brees wasn't Brees with San Diego, but he was still very good.
Yeah,
still a very good quarterback.
For me, number 2 is the Green Bay Packers, and again, I went back and forth on 1 and 2. I didn't think that. To me, there was no debate who 1 and 2 were. There was just no debate.
For me, 1 was not a debate.
Okay, so it was for me.
I don't have a problem with your 1-2 actually, because deductive reasoning, I know who it is. I don't have a problem with that.
And here's the thing: although championships don't matter completely, when you're talking about Rodgers, who only had 1, and Favre, I don't think he had 1 with the Packers in the 2000s. I think they both came in the late 90s, didn't they? Not 100% sure. I did know this. I actually looked that up. Favre's championships with the Packers actually came in the late 90s, I believe, and not in the 2000s. So you're talking about
97.
Okay, so that's a group that only has 1 Super Bowl championship. And again, it's not the end all. It's not you weigh championships the way you want to weigh championships. But for me, when I was deciding between 1 and 2, that is why 2. And again, we talk about human biases. I think Aaron Rodgers, when I say overrated, don't get me wrong. I don't mean overrated in the sense of I don't think he's a great player, because he's one of the best players, one of the best quarterbacks to ever played. I don't know where he ranks. I'd have to think about it. Top 10, probably top not 5. For me. Not in my top 5. Definitely not in my top 5. In fact, I don't think he's in my top 10. However, I understand why you would put him there. That being said, though, I just didn't think it was enough to make them number 1, and I get why. So we'll move on to number 1 and finish it off this way. And for you, Rodgers, Favre, and Love were number 1. Talk about why for you that was the case.
Because these guys have been the 3 starters for the Packers since 2000. We are talking about 25 years. Say what you will about Jordan Love. I think he's a very good quarterback. He's certainly not on the level of Favre and Rodgers. But when you were looking at from the year 2000 to 2025, these are their 3 guys. And there is no quarterback room that has seen as much continued success and stability as the Green Bay Packers. I think Rodgers and Favre are 2 of the best to ever play it, the position. I think Love is a very good quarterback. He's certainly not on the level of some of these other guys.
Yep.
So that's why I have him here. And
I think that's a very valid argument. What you said, they've certainly had more consistency from. If you're talking about from 2000 to 2024, they have had more consistency probably than any other team. That wasn't enough for me to make them number 1.
And the reason that I can't put the Patriots there is because of what they've had since. Yeah, it's just, and that's I'm not going to say by no fault of their own, because they haven't prepared for the future. They did not prepare well for post-Tom Brady.
Yeah.
The Packers have prepared well amid a ton of criticism. I mean, when Rodgers and Love were both drafted, people ripped them.
Yeah.
But it's given them the most stability in the quarterback room since
there are two comments I'm going to get to in just a minute, but I want to talk about, I want to give the Patriots their just due first in our list. Yeah. And look, for me, it was just, I don't even care who the other two quarterbacks are. And normally I don't say that. I mean, it's hard to say that, but I just think that Brady was that important to the game and what he did for, you talked about 19 years, 19 out of 25 years. I mean, 19 out of 25 years, he was the best. And you can love Drew Brees. I love Drew Brees. I mean, he changed the trajectory of a franchise. Basically, he and Sean Payton changed the trajectory of a franchise. But Tom Brady changed. I mean, you want to talk about game changers and got league, whatever. And you can hate Tom Brady. You do whatever you want with Tom Brady. But Brady was that damn important. And when you do have to factor championships in somewhat, and that was the tipping point for me for the Patriots over the Packers was, what is it, 6, 7? I don't know, 6 championships.
Brady's got 7. He had 6.
With the Patriots. So to me, I just think it was a no-brainer for me in the end. I mean, don't get me wrong. I kind of debated because I knew you were going Packers number 1, and I kind of wanted us to both have the same team in number 1. But in the end, I just couldn't do it. To me, it was Brady was that much better. And
I think that comes down to the criteria, because if you look at my list, I mean, I went with stability and the best 3 on this list, whereas you valued the single most impactful player in NFL history, which I respect. I mean, like we said, there's no one way to go about this list.
No, there isn't.
I don't have a problem with the Patriots at number 1.
Well, how do you feel overall about the list? Again, I want to get, before we go up the air, there's one comment in particular that I want to mention, Northern Saint. I'm going to get to it, but I want to get to it by myself. Gabe, final thoughts on our list.
I texted you last night asking if I could change things retroactively. And I think now that I look at it, there are some things that I would like to change with my list. And
you influenced mine too, by the way. By looking at your list, there's a couple things that I think I would change by looking at your list.
And I completely agree. I probably wouldn't have the Chargers as high. I'd probably have the Colts above them. I'd probably move the Chargers maybe back to 5, and I'd kick the Colts, Patriots, and Chiefs up.
Rob likes Pats, Packers, Colts, Saints, Ravens, maybe Chiefs. You can't go wrong with that 5 either.
I just think at the end of the day, I think you have to have. I don't think the Saints crack my top 5 even in a re-ranking.
Fair enough.
Just because I think the closest team the team that they're closest to now looking at it is probably the Chargers. And I think Herbert is much better than Brooks and Carr.
Well, this was fun.
That's right.
We're definitely going to do another Dat List. Again, I don't think we're going to do one before we go on vacation. But when we come back, it'll still be the dog days of summer. I mean, we're going to come back on July 12th or whatever the hell the day. I don't remember exactly what day it is. But when we come back, we'll have to find a day. And I like Wednesdays to do a Dat List. We will do at least one more, maybe 2 more. A lot of fun to debate. And again, when you're talking about 2 completely different people from completely different eras, I mean, Gabe's 30 years younger than me. But our list in the grand scheme of things were a lot closer than I expected them to be.
And I did not see your list, so I had no idea what you're going to. We had a lot of similar. And I mean, even then, we might have. No, go ahead.
Even though I saw your list again, I intentionally didn't look at anything. I just clicked that I have it, the receipt that I have it. But I did not want to look at anything you had until I was completely finished with mine because I didn't want it to influence anything. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I think when you look at this, we didn't necessarily have teams in the same spot. Like you might have had something at 11 and I had it at 13. But in reality, the margins between some of those places are so close. Yeah. And we, like we said, for having different criteria, and relatively undefined criteria, we just kind of went in and said, hey, top 3 passers in your mind, rank the room. And that's all the criteria we had. It was pretty pretty close. And I thoroughly enjoyed this exercise.
I did too, and we'll see what we do next. We'll figure out our next stat list, but it'll probably be a little over a month from now. We'll probably do it middle of July. We'll do one, and then maybe we'll do one more in August and see how it goes. But it was fun exercise, Gabe. We'll do it again, and thanks for your diligence. I mean, whoever said that we didn't put a lot, we both put a lot of. You probably put more time into it than I did, and we both put a lot of time into this. We didn't just
hours into this.
We didn't just write names down, and so did I. So anyway, we'll do it again. We will see you on Wednesday.
Sounds good.
Enjoy your weekend. All right, one comment, and we got. It's not gonna be the last comment I show. There's a comment I'm going back to here, and I'm sorry. I don't know if y'all say shit to just press my buttons sometimes, knowing how I'm going to react. But UBN and Northern Saint kind of going back and forth with something here that I don't know if y'all are paying attention to or not. But UBN's 100% right. Carr, and there's a debate about the Carr haters. I hate to get on this tangent here after 2 hours and 6 minutes of a great show, but I'm gonna. It's my show. I can say whatever the hell I want. Okay. And I'm going to defend. I don't defend Carr's entire career or whatever, but if you're that much of a hater that you can't see reality, then that's your problem. UBN, Carr gifted the Saints $30 million when he didn't have to. 100%. And then Northern Saint follows up with Carr stole $10 million because he got $10 million from this year. You're just an asshole if you think that. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to piss anybody off, but I don't care if I piss you off. This is the truth. If you hate somebody that much, he could have he stole $10 million. He did not have to do anything. He could have said, piss off, Saints. I'm taking my $40 million. You wanted to change my contract. I'm taking $40 million, and you can do with whatever you want with me when it's over. If you can't see that, it's flat out wrong. 100%, David. Carr is living rent-free in people's heads. How is that? How is that? He's not even here anymore. He doesn't even care. He doesn't care anymore. He's going to a beach with his wife and kids. Do I think Derek Carr is the greatest person on the planet? No. Do I think he's a weird bird? Absolutely. He's strange. You know that song? People think he's strange. Strange. Just saying. But to think that Derek Carr stole $10 million from the Saints should be saying, it's kind of like when you buy a timeshare. Okay. And you spend, let's just say you spend, $5,000 for 4 days of a timeshare a year. And there's a hurricane in the Gulf. And the owner says, you know what? I don't want you to be screwed and I want you to come back. I'm going to give you back $3,500. Did the owner steal the $1,500? No, you both got something out of it. It's ridiculous. If you hate him that much and you can't, look, you can hate him all you want, but be realistic about it. Chad Gage, people can dislike him as a quarterback, but the dude seems to be a good man, family man, Christian. He's strange, but he's a good dude. Lewis Handel, he agrees with my attitude towards Carr giving back the money. It was a class act. He didn't have to. You could, don't care whatever you think about him. He did not have to give the money back. And I got to be honest, I don't know if I would have, because if the fans hated me that much, because sometimes I can hold a grudge in life. I try not to. I've tried to get better as I get older. But if somebody handed me this money and they were being dicks about it, I don't know that I would have gave it back. I don't know that I would have gave it back. Just saying. A couple things about the show. Chat says it was fun to listen to. I thought we were just having fun. That's what this was about. Rob says, and you love wins if Love wins the Super Bowl, you put the Packers up. If Love wins the Super Bowl, maybe I will put him higher. I might. Mal says it was a fun show. Charles Mangus, great show again. We couldn't have done this without y'all. This is something Gabe and I have both been talking about for a while. In fact, I think we started talking about this like at the end of last football season. Like things we've been putting together our list for what we're going to do in the offseason, and Dat List was one of them. And this was a great way to start it. So we will do it some more. We will have fun with it 100%. So where the Saints rank, if you missed it, Gabe's got them at 6. I got them at 3. UBN wants to know, can we pick the next list? No, you can't. You can make a suggestion. I may or may not listen to you. But, I mean, I'm being honest. Good lie. I'm going to spend Sunday with UBN. Last comment. I'm going to give you the last word, Northern Saint. You have an opinion. It's my show. That's how you feel. Okay. You don't hate Carr. You want what's best for the Saints. If you're saying he stole $10 million, you hate Carr. That's my opinion. Okay. You are most certainly entitled to your own opinion. 100% entitled to your own opinion. But if you're saying he stole $10 million and you can't see that he gave him $30 million back when he didn't have to, you hate him. We all want what's best for the Saints. And right now, I want what's best for Dattitude, and that's for the end of the show. Again, thank you all for being a part of the if you made it through the entire show without clicking off of it, whatever. Coach Brad Neffendorf was great. Want to thank him. Obviously, Gabe for his diligence with this list. I'm telling you, he spent more time. I spent a couple hours, and he spent more than that. So we didn't just put this together willy-nilly, and we had fun with it. That's what we do in the show. We do our due diligence here on the show. We don't just wake up in the morning, put together a slide, and come on and say, hello, everybody. It doesn't work that way. There's a lot that goes into a show before you ever put it on. It is. Lewis, thank you. Great show. And UBN. List was too long. I made you miss 15 minutes of Maury. The DVRs are for. You got that AC fixed at the Regis Radiator Service yet? Best place to take a leak, y'all. Free pub. Regis Radiator Service. Reminder to subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube page if you haven't already done so. Click the like, click the little bell to receive notifications when we go on the air live. Again, program and note, no show on Monday. We will be back on Wednesday. Got some other things I got to do on Monday and Tuesday, honestly. Only 4 more shows before we take vacation. I don't know where I'm going yet. We're either going to Houston for a few days or we're going to the beach for a few days. You know which one I choose, but I am going to defer if I have to. We'll see. And then we'll come back all pumped up to get ready to just dive into football season. Probably going to change a few things up going forward too. I don't want the cat out of the bag. I don't know 100% what we're doing yet, but let's just say we may have more mono-y whatevers. I kind of enjoy. I think it's great to have guests, but sometimes I feel like I'm forcing a guest. Sometimes I feel like I'm forcing the guest, and I don't want to do that. I kind of enjoy when it's just us talking. And again, today, Brad Neffendorf absolutely deserved a spot in the show. And we will keep doing things like that, but we're not just going to like force guests to have them. So there's your spoiler alert. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. And find a replay of the show, as always, on NOLA.com/sports. You can find me on bet.nola.com. You can find our Saints Insiders on NOLA.com/sports/Saints. You'll always find them there. They will always give you the heads up on what's going on. Thank God the AC is fixed, UBN. We will see. Everyone have a fantastic, wonderful, glorious weekend. Thank you for watching our list. We will see you on Wednesday. Stay cool and take it easy, my friends.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is. or at least the way he thinks it is.